afternoon, and it's going to be a little different than yesterday afternoon, thankfully, but we're obviously going to cover the same topic. Sue, how are you this afternoon?
I am well, thank you.
Ethan is here filling in. He's been doing great work filling in for Fred and covering double, I'd say even like triple duties because, what was it, Wiggins was out today, so you're helping with Annie's show just a little bit. So you're burning the candle, aren't you?
They call me the utility man.
And you are that's a good thing. Look,
they being myself.
I think you are. It's good to have versatility.
But don't take that as me saying I identify as they. Don't take that.
Okay, good enough.
Had to clarify.
Excellent. And Sue, I told this story in the air yesterday. And I had Ethan weigh in, and I don't think he will be upset with me for mentioning this. But when we were following this story yesterday, and you were busy with stuff and didn't even really know about the assassination until we were starting to hit the air. I'm sure a lot of listeners were like that.
Yeah.
They get off work, they hadn't really heard, they tune in. But Ethan, who I was thinking about this a lot last night because the circumstances for those of us who are older are perhaps a little different. Someone like you, Ethan, you started listening to him when you were, like you said, 15 years old, right? He started being on your radar. I heard John Roberts today earlier say something about how when he was back on Fox, he'd been off for a couple of weeks, saying he's got a 13 or 14-year-old that was just devastated. He had no idea that his son was into, what Charlie Kirk was all about. But you had a very emotional reaction yesterday. And I know you and I talked about it a little bit earlier this afternoon, kind of continued into last night.
Yesterday was hard for a lot of people. I would say it was hardest for the generation that he had such an impact on. And I was a part of that generation, thankful to be a part of that generation. Been watching Charlie Kirk since I was 15. Both he and Ben Shapiro had such a huge impact on, how my political views formed and what I came to believe. And there aren't words. And there was a point yesterday where I just broke down, and I just the horror of the situation. I broke down again on the drive home. I broke down again when I saw my wife last night. I broke down when I went to bed because it's just, I'm still struggling to put words together regarding the horror of it.
I am so sorry, Ethan.
But more so, it's what Charlie did for an entire generation as far as being able to educate and show. Because this has been lost in our country, and you guys know this. Political dialogue and being able to say, I disagree, but have a conversation to follow.
No, it's
right.
Charlie Kirk worked so hard to show my generation that can be a thing and it can be okay, and you don't have to completely block people out of your life just because you disagree.
So, the easiest comparison I would have, and this is not in any way, shape, or form the same situation because of tone and a lot of other things, but Rush Limbaugh did that for some younger people. I mean, I was 30 years old when I started listening to Rush, and I was doing music radio at the time, and I'm like, wait a second, this guy's doing what on the radio? And he's talking about politics, and I was involved with a passion for politics when I was in high school here at Parkway West, and my conservative ideology was formed very early. Ronald Reagan was president. I had, people like P.J. O'Rourke and Pat Buchanan back in the day, and other people who I would be, fans of, and obviously a certain amount of politicians as well. But what I always said, and I don't even know if this resonates with people, but I'll say it again just because I say things that are on my mind. It would frustrate me literally for decades that, I'm a guy, for people who've never seen me before, I'm a little older than I used to be. I've had an earring since I was 18 years
Strikingly
old. Right?
Good looking.
And I've never, and I have a tattoo, and I've never taken the earring out. And I've used, sometimes people have been thrown off by the fact that here's the conservative, talk show guy has a tattoo and an earring. But I always kept it in because it was part of my identity. And I always was mad because, it was deemed, I think, amongst a lot of people in the public, and I felt this way, that, conservatism wasn't cool. You're not one of the cool kids if you're, in the Young Republicans Club or anything like that. And Limbaugh resonated with people because a lot of us at a certain point, and this certainly applied to high school kids eventually as well because of their parents, and, they were in the car listening to Rush. He appealed to people who said, wait, nobody's been expressing these views.
Yeah.
And now we finally hear someone doing that, and it's amazing. Of course, the left never could get anyone even near to that level. And I don't think that Ben and and Charlie picked up, where Rush left off, because they were already moving in that direction. And I don't even know if those guys had a relationship with Rush before he died. But I bring it up because it was so awesome for me to see younger people who had been kind of lost in this whole conversation about what the country could be about, how much we love the country, how much we're patriots, how we believe in freedoms and all these things. Who's going to have that message? Who's going to be the messenger? And he was one of the messengers. And he was one of the guys. This was what's frustrating, I think, to a lot of people. He was one of those people, if you would put up a bunch of pictures on a wall of people that it's become very clear in the last 24 hours that they'd like to remove from the planet, he would be the guy that would be the least, hate-filled, whatever word you want to use, because he wanted the dialogue and the conversation. Now, we'll get into this we're going to explore this afternoon. Brian Kilmeade is going to join me here in just a few minutes. He's on the 5 this afternoon. Curtis Houck's going to talk about some of the media angles. But now we have this conversation that's going on in the media, on social media, here on this show, about whether or not this is something that you can blame on a larger swath of the left outside of the fringes. And I think the answer is yes, for a variety of reasons. Now, look, I would defend, and I will tomorrow on the roundtable. Jane will be here on the roundtable tomorrow. We'll have Jeff Smith. He's a little bit more progressive than Jane is. I'll be curious to see what he thinks. But you literally have people who are the leaders in the Democratic Party. Like the guy who used to be president, right? The woman who was almost president, who was vice president, Tim Walz, AOC, Gavin Newsom, Hakeem Jeffries, Wesley Bell, Tashara Jones. The list goes on. They call us Nazis.
I know.
In bigots, in transphobes, in gun nuts, and religious nuts. And they say it on a regular basis. So if you say that this is insanity, it really is. If you say you don't think a man with a penis in a girl's locker room somehow in the eyes of the left, that makes you the bad guy, right? Or that it's unfair that a man with completely different biological structure should compete against women, not only in grade school, but at elite levels in high sports. You're the crazy person, right? And this is not from the fringe. And the reason it's not from the fringe, even though a majority of Democrats, when they're polled, they say, yeah, that's effed up. No, we don't agree with that. But the media drives these narratives. The ESPNs, I put a lot of blame on the sports media. They don't cover these stories fairly. You have a trans shooter in Minneapolis, and it's barely mentioned that is a trans shooter. And then when, Charlie Kirk is literally talking about that particular issue yesterday, that's when the bullet rings out. But if you point out, if you're someone on my side, and you all know this who are listening right now, if you point out that the overwhelming number of murders are committed disproportionately to a specific race, you are a racist. It's black on black crime. We try to call it like it is all the time, but people aren't honest about that. It's white cops' fault, right? It's you, the white supremacist. It's your fault. On the flip side, if you feel in your heart, Ethan, and I think you're one of these people that, is close, has a spiritual relationship close to God, or you think that innocent babies shouldn't be torn from the womb, then you're the danger to society, not the, the pro-choice people. If you think white cops are not the problem, then you're the crazy person, right? Because white cops are killing our black boys. That's what we heard from Tashara and Corey Bush and Kim Gardner and all these nutcases. We heard it unchallenged in the media, right? That's why the media is complicit. I remember seeing this piece in the Washington Post a few years ago, and it was kind of a profile on Corey Bush, and she's just allowed to spout out anything that she wants without being challenged, right? If you believe, here's the other reason that I feel like this applies to much more of the left, and I'd be very curious to see, and I don't know if there's a way to do this, what our friends on the left really are hearing about this particular incident, because if you believe, and I know that my listeners are not in this camp, there might be some because we have people from the left that like to sample. But if you really believe all the crap that the legacy media is shoving down your throat, NPR on down, of which there's no doubt there's extreme liberal bias, and you don't have to take my word for it. Take the word of Yuri Berliner or Barry Weiss, who left the New York Times, who's about to maybe run control of CBS News. Those are the people that have laid it out for you. They've spelled it out. They've shown you evidence. They've brought the receipts. It's not just me or someone on the radio or a podcast talking about how biased the legacy media is. It's a fact. And we know it's a fact because the people who have been part of it and who are now ashamed of it, Mike Schellenberger, and I mentioned Sasha Stone a lot because Sasha's someone who is an extreme lefty who I knew from a different lifetime when I was a film critic has now come over to the other side. So you might have noticed, ladies and gentlemen, there were no riots in the streets last night, right? There was a lot of sadness across this country. There were a lot of prayers. Prayers are evil too. You better not do that, because that's bad. There were no police cars that were overturned and set on fire. There were no huge crowds that got out of control. Now, I know some of you say, but January 6th, you're forgetting about January 6th. I'm not forgetting about January 6th. But what you're forgetting about is George Floyd and what happened in the aftermath of that. And you're forgetting what happened here in St. Louis with Mike Brown and the disgusting, fires and vandalism and damage and black cops being spat upon. That's the left. Okay, that's not us. The left, who on the right are disowning members of their family? Are there some? Sure, but overwhelmingly, people on the left are the ones that are saying, and I'm someone in this camp, we don't want to be your friend because what you believe in or who you voted for, right? Family members are doing the same thing. I cannot have Thanksgiving dinner with you vile, racist homophobes who are, Nazis. It's not the right that's doing that. Now, there's disgusting stuff on the extreme right as well. I would be the first to admit that. But this is about something bigger. It really is. And, we always say tone down the rhetoric. There's one, I just tweeted this out, and I've been trying to, most of my stuff on the X, formerly Twitter, has been some retweets here in the last 24 hours. And I like this one quite a bit if I can get it to come up. Sometimes it doesn't come up right away. You got Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, and others that are holding a news conference today. And they say coming together is what we ought to be doing, not pointing fingers of blame. I don't even know who this guy is. Orrin McIntyre, he's on Twitter. I don't follow him. Someone had retweeted him that I know. And he said, the very last F I had to give about coming together with the people who've been calling Charlie a fascist threat to democracy for years died the minute his young children watched a bullet explode through their father's throat. And I would second that completely. Brian Kilmeade is coming up.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Not a bad start to the commute. If you are just headed out, things look really good on westbound 6440 out of downtown. Really no delays until you get out to Hampton. Little slow there, and then 270. But west of there, just a moderate volume pocket or two. 70 looks good. It's just a little slow at the Blanchette Bridge and Highway A out through Wentzville. Just moderate volume. And same thing on southbound 270. Page down through Ladue Road and a little bit at 44. Southbound 55 slowing at Bates in the construction zone. We look great if you're headed into Illinois on the bridges downtown. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I want to guide you into some excellent masonry and tuck pointing work. That's Morelli Tuck Pointing here in St. Louis. Family owned and operated. They do tuck pointing, stone foundation repair, spot pointing with color match, waterproofing, caulking, chimney repair, brickwork, and a whole lot more. You can get a free estimate from Morelli. They've been doing this for 31 plus years, family owned and operated. Great quality workmanship. I know one of the things that John's very proud of is he's got people that have worked with him for a long time. So very loyal employees. If you go to MorelliTuckPointing.com, you'll see rave review after rave review. And one of the things that they always point to is John and the team exceeding expectations. I know for a fact that's what they shoot for at Morelli Tuck Pointing. So if you need any kind of work, whether it's a big project or a small project, they'd love to get out and do an estimate for you. 314-645-1387. The website, MorelliTuckPointing.com.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. A question I get all the time is, how did we become the largest injury firm in the world? We have over 1,000 lawyers in all 50 states and close to 6,000 coworkers. Our call center is on duty 24/7. You can reach us at any time at forthepeople.com. But the real reason is we won a lot. When you visit our website, go to our verdicts and settlements. There you will see what our clients were offered and what they were awarded at trial. All those verdicts help us resolve many cases fairly and early. You see, nothing beats reputation. The insurance industry knows who we are. We even have insurance adjusters call us for representation because they know too. We've made it easy. On your mobile device or computer, go to forthepeople.com and we will get busy. It's that easy. Call today. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Attention. Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10, $20, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-894-7722. That's 800-894-7722. Again, 800-894-7722.
This is St. Louis Conservative. No filters, no fluff. Mark Reardon is back on the mic.
Clay Travis on Fox talking about Charlie Kirk.
MSNBC. Sean, you watch this. They were live on the air saying, one of their guys said, they put out a PR statement. He said, well, Charlie Kirk was riddled basically with hate. And when you put hate out into the world, this kind of thing happens. Oh, tough break. You get shot and killed even though you're completely innocent and all you're doing is making arguments for the betterment of the country. Tough break for your young daughter. Tough break for your son, for your lovely wife that will never get the opportunity to see you grow old with them. I am so angry. And I understand everybody out there says, well, we have to tamp down the anger. I'm not willing to do that right now.
And I understand that from Clay. And by the way, Matthew Dowd, we played that audio yesterday. He has been let go of his duties as an analyst at MSNBC. Brian Kilmeade is with us this afternoon. I know you're doing the 5 here in just a little bit, so you're probably pretty fired up. I don't even know where to start, Brian. I mean, this is just horrific. And, you know, probably not unlike you, I made the mistake of watching the video and seeing a couple of angles of this, and that makes it even worse.
Yeah, I mean, I said, okay, I was walking and someone said, you hear about Charlie Kirk? And I'm walking to the train and I said, let me look at it. I go to Kirk on X and I see it. And I thought, there's no way this guy could possibly survive. And whoever did that knew exactly what they were doing. And then the more experts I talked to, that seems like the guy knew how to shoot. The guy had a plan. The guy, now they know how he got in. They know how he got out. They found this gun in a wooded area. They found casings. They have pictures. I don't know why. And I'm open to education. I don't know why they wouldn't show us the pictures right away. There would be a force multiplier. You and I, everybody else could be on the street looking for this guy. Or if we ran into him, or I know that guy. I went to college with him. I went to high school with him. I work with him. So they let out a couple of photos. I really am in awe of what they were able to do with multiple cameras on their campus. I really am. As much as I'm disappointed in the security, stunned by it. 6 cops, 3,000 people.
Yeah.
Are you kidding? I am impressed by the way they're getting to the bottom of it, getting this guy. And Cash Patel and Dan Bongino would not be jetting literally to Utah unless they had him.
Right, I agree.
They want to probably make the announcement themselves.
Yeah. Well, that's my thought, because earlier, and just to catch the audience up, there was an indication a couple hours ago as I was driving in, I heard it on Fox that there was going to be a briefing closer to 2:00, and then they canceled that. So that does give an indication. By the way, if that occurs here this afternoon before 6:00, we will air it live on 97.1 FM Talk. But that does seem to give an indication that if they're not getting close, they found this kid.
Yeah, and he does look like a kid, wiry. We'll find out what he's about. I assume it's a he, and we'll see what's behind it. And that's what I think it'll help galvanize, how this fits in with the Minneapolis shooting, how it fits in with the 2 attempts on President Trump's life, and the people that did it and what they were thinking, what they were trying to do with Steve Scalise. I mean, see if there's a pattern here that's worth pursuing, or we just got to deal with the people or unhinged looking for an excuse to try to be famous, like the assassin of John Lennon said. He wanted to matter. So we'll see what this means. I hope they get him alive because I want answers.
Well, what do you make, Brian, of the, there's a lot being said. I spent a little time here in the monologue about the rhetoric, on the right versus the left. And, one of the points that keeps getting made, and I made this, is you have a group of people, and this is certainly not all Democrats, not all people on the left, but they continuously call us Nazis and bigots and threats to society and all these things, right? And this is from the top. That's not from a fringe. That's from the guy that used to be in the White House, or the vice president that ran for president, or Hakeem Jeffries. And they all do it. They all do the same thing. They say tamp down the rhetoric, but they still do the same thing, and they have since Butler, right? So, some people think that this is different, that this is a moment. I think we said that on July 13th last year as well, but I don't know how this manifests itself moving forward. It's affected a lot of people. Maybe even I underestimated how many younger people, were really connected with Charlie Kirk.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this guy's an entity on himself. He's not a politician. He just affects politics. And, where he was heading, I think, was to try to get an heir apparent. Sadly, there is none. I mean, he's got a movement. People know what to do. They know how to set up an operation. They know how to get the word out. They got a mailing list. They got the format, but they don't have him. And the fact is that we can't name 4 or 5 people at Turning Point is bad. And it's got to make who's ever going to run the RNC now, Mike Watley now is running for Senate. It's got to make him nervous, because that was a youth movement like we've never seen before. As Ezra Klein writes, the liberal columnist, it says, for the longest time, Democrats thought, well, you got the colleges, let's focus on everybody else. We have the unions, so let's focus on everybody else. Now they're losing the unions, and they lost the college kids. It took Charlie Kirk 3 election cycles, but he did it.
We're sitting here, and this is, I can't say how many times, and I think you may feel this way as well. We've talk about this story from yesterday, the last 30 hours or whatever it's been, and then you almost completely forget that this young woman was, brutally stabbed on this train in Charlotte. And that's I mean, unfortunately, watching both of those videos, and I made the mistake of watching both those videos, there's a fair amount in common, but how do you even get your hands around that one? And then the reaction from the mayor of Charlotte with more empathy for the dude who stabbed this poor girl.
I've just had it. And that's my point I made earlier on Fox, is that the big difference now, there's a lot, but the big difference now is you and I would say, okay, here's the problem. And then we split on how to solve it. I want more money. I want less money. I want private, both sides go to their corners, and the most innovative thinkers would emerge as the leaders of their both parties. Now we can't even agree on a problem. Is crime a problem? Pritzker says no. Really? Look at the numbers. Well, they're going down. But there's a problem, right? But let me do it. But you're not doing it. So let me handle it. No, we don't want you to handle it. Well, what do you want? Well, there's people going to die. Well, you're just going to make things worse. It's political. The border's sealed. They told us the border was sealed for 4 years. No one believed it. Well, you can't help it. Climate change. Well, that's worldwide migration. Well, we know that's not true. We know that Kamala Harris didn't do it. And we know that you have to pass your legislation or the bipartisan legislation or nothing would happen. And what happened is Trump came in and shut the border down. So they don't even say he got it right, but we think you're wrong when it comes to arresting illegals in America. So we just move on. So it's your issue, my issue, instead of the issue and the debate. So I can't debate you. It's like trying to fight your shadow. You're not there. So I just stay in my lane, and you just stay in your lane. And I go back, but you know what? I haven't talked to you in months. I don't like you. I haven't talked to you. I don't agree with you. You wouldn't even acknowledge the success I have or the problems I feel. So both sides just have disdain. And what they want to do is win. They want to win and then do everything that they want to do when in power. And then when they lose, and everyone knows the other side's going to eventually win, they're going to flip everything back on its head. And the people in the middle will say, wow, this is getting bad. Question is, are there going to be enough people in the middle eventually to start agreeing again on what the problems are so we could start solving them?
Yeah, I think you're right about that. And I don't know what the answer is or how we move forward from this moment and so many of the other moments. It seems, it's sad and unfair that the 9/11 anniversary is almost like a second tier story today because it's so important. I can't remember where you were when all that happened. Were you on Fox at the time?
Yeah. Yep. Actually on the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played some of that today on the radio show, and I was actually on the air. We had to interpret what happened. They told us a small plane. I said it looks like a large plane, and then we watched at 9:06, and then the plane hit again. But while I was watching the other show, and then I hopped in a crew, and I went downtown, but I was like the hybrid sports guy, news guy then.
Yeah.
So they were kind of reluctant to give me a crew. But by the time I got down there, the war correspondent had been scrambled, but he lost his crew. They couldn't communicate. They got lost in the bedlam. So he took my camera. But I was able to sit down there because he should. He was the war correspondent,
Right.
and I'm not. So I remember sitting there waiting for my camera to arrive, just seeing the chaos and seeing everything. It looked like the surface of the moon because all the dust and debris, the whole area was covered with a white fine dust. Little did we know it was poison.
Were you close to the towers when they collapsed? How close were you when that happened?
I was at like 34th, and the towers I was about 20 blocks away,
Okay,
25
so
blocks away.
fair amount away. But yeah, I mean that, the horror of the planes going in. My kids were very young. I was watching Blue's Clues with my boys at the time. My sister called on a landline. That tells you something too, and said, "You better turn on the Today Show." And I tuned in right as the second plane was hitting the second tower. But then that became a whole new different emotion when you saw the first tower come down and then the other one topple. It was just unbelievable. And I always recommend, Brian, I've been there only once, but I tell people that if you go to New York City, I think they did a really good job with the 9/11 Museum.
Fantastic job. I wish the curator wasn't getting $750,000 and had to have cost overruns. They got to get to the bottom of that. I don't think that a curator should get $750,000 for a nonprofit, personally. So I would look into what's going on there. So, but if you come to New York City, you got to put it on your list, just like the Statue of Liberty. You got to do
Absolutely.
it.
I agree.
You owe it to the country. It's a patriotic thing to do.
Do you have anything going on for Sunday night, or is it too early because of everything changing so quickly?
We're going to have John Walsh. Hopefully we'll have a killer by then. And we're also going to look at the Charlotte situation. I'm going to have Hugh Hewitt for sure. And we're going to have Senator Steve Daines. So they're pretty much locked in. And then we'll see. I'm going to go live. So I'm going to build something. We'll build something over the weekend to finish it off. And then we got a big show tomorrow. And I got Fox and Friends. We have Donald Trump in studio.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Is there a time that's set for that?
It looks like 7 a.m. your time,
Okay.
8 a.m. our time, as long as he can go.
Right. Yeah,
So,
obviously a lot of moving pieces.
Secret Service is already here.
Yeah, excellent. All right, well, we'll look forward to that. Have a great weekend. We'll talk next week.
Go get him.
All right, take care.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Some volume on southbound 55, mainly at Bates, and westbound 40 already lined up approaching Hampton out through McCausland. A little slow at Lindbergh. And then again, out at Lake St. Louis Boulevard, 70, some moderate volume at Jennings Station Road. And it's pretty slow now at Highway A out through the Wentzville area. Still only moderate volume on southbound 270. That's from Page down through 64. Northbound is slowing at 6440. And westbound 44 slowing at 270. If you are headed into Illinois, we look fine on the bridges downtown and the approach to the bridges. Really no delays there either. This report brought to you by Barron Mirror Glass and Door. They are simply the finest when it comes to mirror glass and shower doors. You can't find better quality, prices, or service than at Barron Mirror Glass and Door. They have the basics all the way up to the elite. Barron Mirror Glass and Door can't be beat. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's Traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, for years, I've sat here very uneducated on cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, and that all changed during the summer because back in June, I had dinner with a guy named Ben. He goes by Bitcoin Ben, and he is fascinating. He's very, very interesting. He's a fan of 97.1 FM Talk and my show, which is why he wanted to jump on as a sponsor, and he's trying to help people like you. He genuinely has a desire for everyone to have a chance at what he would call a once-in-a-lifetime generational wealth. And, then I start asking questions. Well, how does this work? How does crypto work? And how do you buy it? How do you store it? He's going to teach you all that at Bitcoin Ben's 7th National Crypto Club. He's got a bunch in Florida, one in Nashville. They are in Vegas. He's from St. Louis. He's bringing this club here to St. Louis. And you can find out more by going to the website right now, bitcoinben.io. Some of the information's up there. There's Bitcoin Ben TV. He's been very popular on YouTube. So if you want to learn more about Bitcoin and crypto, here's your chance. bitcoinben.io. That's bitcoinben.io. IRS.io today.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Lance Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, DRURY, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Hello from Pro Outdoor, your #1 irrigation and sprinkler team. Aeration and overseeding season is here to repair summer brown spots. Make sure your sprinkler system is tuned up to water in that fresh seed. We're running fall specials on aeration, overseeding, and new residential sprinkler installs within 2 weeks. Call 636-695-7800 or visit ProOutdoor.com to see all our services. That's 636-695-7800.
That baby's gone!
Cardinals fans, FanDuel Sports Network is your home of the Cardinals.
That ball was mashed.
And there are more ways to watch this season.
Holy cow!
Subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network to stream the Cardinals without blackouts.
How about that play?
Or watch through a TV provider.
Incredible!
Including DirecTV, Spectrum, Xfinity, Fubo, and more.
He got it!
Learn more at cardinals.com/TV.
Ball game! That couldn't have worked out any better for the Cardinals.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
And this portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
From the gateway city to the front lines of freedom. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
Some of the reaction that's out there is just vile. And, you know, look, I'm going to prove to you that this does not just come from the fringes. Some of the reaction, this is Ilhan Omar on a podcast talking about Charlie Kirk in the aftermath of his assassination.
What I do know for sure is that, you know, Charlie was someone who once said, guns save lives. After a school shooting. Charlie was someone who was willing to debate and downplay the death of George Floyd in the hands of Minneapolis police.
I think he called him a scumbag.
Right, have no regard, downplay slavery and what Black people have gone through in this country by saying Juneteenth should never exist. And I think, you know, there are a lot of people who are out there talking about him just wanting to have a civil debate.
Complete rewriting of history.
Yeah, there is nothing more effed up, than to completely pretend that, you know, his words and actions have not been recorded and in existence for the last decade or so. And
whoop, that cut out, but she's a member of Congress. Yeah, no kidding. She's a member of Congress right now. I don't even know if she's an American because she puts her allegiance elsewhere in many situations. Curtis Houck is back with us, managing editor of Newsbusters. I mean, you're having a lot of work putting some of this stuff up on the Twitter and the other sites because there's so much craziness out there right now, Curtis.
Yeah, Mark, good to be with you again. Well, unfortunately, it's just it is a horrible day. I mean, this cannot go on. The media cannot continue to do this, where they just simply act like they're bystanders in our political discourse. You know, you have all these nice thoughts from some of these people saying we need to do better, this, that, and the other thing, but like they don't demand it of themselves. They're not applying that to themselves. And they also aren't doing things like highlighting the clip that you just played.
Yeah.
They're not bringing that kind of thing up. So you try to say that, some of the first reactions, Katie Tur yesterday, divisive, polarizing, CNN controversial, Matt Dowd, obviously, he's been fired for, saying that Charlie Kirk's hateful thoughts lead to hateful words and hateful actions and inflammatory, and other guests said that as well. CNN was talking about gun culture and a lightning rod.
By the way, on the gun culture thing, let me just say this, because this guy used a 30-06. That's a hunting rifle. All right. I have a couple of them, and that's what I hunt with. And there's no gun control measure that's going to affect, unless you have a red flag law and the person is severely mentally ill, but you're not going to be able to get a hold of hunting rifles and ban them. And by the way, no one's really ever talking about that.
Hat tip to Charles C.W. Cook over at National Review, pointing out that is the gun that was recovered is still one of the few guns that, after jumping through many hoops, you can actually still buy in England. Okay. So the hunting rifles at the left,
it's bolt action. So what happens is, once you fire a shot, you got to open the bolt, and the casing comes out, and you have to load the other bullet. And then if you're me, you miss the deer the second time also. So unfortunately, but where do you think, let's talk about CNN. They do a headline and they talk about how now we have this information about the bullets and the casings, where there's cultural issues that were referred to. That's the best that they could do. They don't want to talk about the trans stuff at all, just like last week in Minnesota, but there are cultural issues that they put in a headline and in a story on CNN.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of very similar to what we would see with radical Islamic terror attacks. That he was shouting about God. Okay, it's just like very vague and esoteric. Like Minnesota, we may never know their motive. Governor Josh Shapiro. I mean, we never know what this guy was thinking, except we do know what was going on here. But, I think it is so unfortunate, but it was so instructive yesterday because this was such a shocking event. The left, because it is particularly the media operates on groupthink, you got their genuine reactions when something so unexpected happened. So you could see whether some people actually kind of had some humanity and others that did. And those that did have humanity, I should say Brian Stelter was one of the best yesterday. But the thing is with this, where we going forward, what does this mean? How do you use this in a constructive way? And just instead of pat him on the back of the head, tap him on the shoulder, say, good job. No, remember these kinds of things. So when they go back to saying that we're fascists and that we want to kill grandma, President Trump is a Nazi, all the rest, you can point to this and say, hey, well, what about that? You said we should be better. How about you? How about you do that?
So did you see George Conway's tweet?
Yes, comparing him to an
Horst
early
Wessel.
Nazi
So
figure.
all he does is he posts a picture of a guy by the name of Horst Wessel, and he offers the Wikipedia link. And this is yesterday in the aftermath of this horrific assassination, right? And if you go to the Wikipedia page,
it's just a few hours ago today.
Okay, yeah, but there's a follow-up here that I just saw. So he posts that, and the Wikipedia entry says Horst was a member of the SA, the paramilitary wing of the Nazi Party. So that's all he says. So then somebody does a story on that, and he posts a caption from the story where Mediaite says, and it's a quote from someone, "Sick F George Conway put on blast for making Nazi comparison to Charlie Kirk assassination." So then he goes on, this is 5 minutes ago, and he says, they may not want to hear it and it may incense them, but the parallels between what the Nazis did then and what Trump and MAGA are doing today are striking, chilling, and as any expert on authoritarianism will tell you, straight out of the same toxic but dog-eared playbook. That's just insanity. And again, what he's saying there is being repeated on the mainstream left. It's being repeated on the fringe, but that is being repeated. That's how they think. They think we're that close to authoritarianism because they have that much of a case of TDS with Trump in the White House. And a guy was just shot in front of 3,000 kids, caught on camera with blood gushing from his neck because he happened to have some ideas that they don't agree with.
It's so un-American. And I mean, I just have to say, though, about Charlie, first of all, the fact that, he was rich financially and personally, that he had built Turning Point into such a behemoth that he could just do the conferences and big speeches and hang out with the donors, and that was it. But the fact that he still kept doing these kinds of college events spoke to how much he enjoyed it and relished it and saw it as part of his calling and mission to do so. But yes, I mean, it's such a scary commentary, and we cannot let the left just simply try to goad us or shame people into silence. Oliver Darcy, former CNNer, and a few others are out there. Slate is another. suggesting that just like with the Charlotte attack, the victim in that was the murderer because society failed him. The bad guys in this is conservative media because they're really mad about it. They're kind of pissed off about it, and it's kind of upsetting us. Yeah, one of their friends, whom a lot of these movers and shakers on conservative media and TV had their friend killed basically almost on live TV. So, yeah, I think they're going to be really mad about it.
I think so, too. And then let's not forget, when we do, I have mixed feelings here about whether or not, hopefully they find this shooter. And I think maybe they have. We're getting some indication that there was a news conference that was going to, happen maybe about an hour and a half ago, and they delayed that. So that could be a sign that they have someone. But, you do have a situation where, let's face it, these are also the people that cheered on the death of the United Healthcare CEO, Brian Johnson. They made Luigi Mangione a hero. So even after 2 attempts on Trump and this, Ruth guy goes to trial starting yesterday, you have the attacks or the threats on Brett Kavanaugh, but they can't wait to find out, many on the left, who this guy is so they can hold him up as the martyr. They're going to try to make him the martyr in all this.
Yeah, no. And again, I just think the media have a chance if they say they're so important and they think they're so great. They're the bastions of the First Amendment and what is right and what is wrong. They can start and set the tone here. But even if there were a change, Mark, I fear that the leftist base is too primed to hate the right that they can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
I don't think so either. But where does that, I don't know where that takes us. I'm not sure.
Yeah. You have, Ilhan Omar, Mehdi Hassan. I mean, these people are being praised for their reactions. They're being suggested that this person really had a point. There are people defending Matthew Dowd. Blue Sky, I mean, go on Blue Ski. I mean, that place is just a mess.
I've
right
avoided
now.
it, but I've heard, I've unfortunately have a lot of audio to share from some of the revolting comments out there. But, one more thing before I let you go, Curtis, I think about some of the people that I know and that, if you're Riley Gaines, if you're Jen Say, if you're Ben Shapiro, if you're my friend Scott Jennings, if you're Senator Eric Schmidt, I mean, I can't even imagine what not only their reaction was to this. I heard Riley on CNN last night and she admitted it's scary, right? And family members, I can't even imagine what family members thought, outside of what happened to Charlie. But if you are married to someone who has a high profile position and espouses conservative beliefs, that's got to scare the crap out of you. Just like a spouse of a cop in the middle of George Floyd or in the middle of, Mike Brown or some of these other things.
No, that's such a great point to make that comparison. Not to like that they are similar in terms of, what they mean to the country and obviously literally putting their lives on the line, but the same general point that unfortunately they are in this position where they go on a trip or they go to work, so to speak, a paid speech or somewhere, and you have to say, I will see you again or I love you. And that just goes to the necessity to tell those that we care about that we love them. And to check in on I said this morning, check in on our strong friends too. Just check in on your friends, even if people you disagree with, but you know of, because that's the kind of the way out of this. I think Charlie, that's what he did so well. He was fierce in his debate. He get in trouble for saying things, but he said in a clip that's been going around, societies die. Marriages fall apart. Friendships fall apart when we stop talking to each other.
And we've seen that way too much here in the last 5 years in particular. Curtis Houck, always great to have you on. I think it's 2 in 1 week. We don't need to bother you that much, but I knew you'd have something to say on this, so I appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
I'll always make time for you, my friend.
All right, take care. Thank you.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Not a bad commute right now. We have moderate volume out there everywhere, at least on 70 westbound. Jennings Station Road, past the airport, in pockets out through Wentzville. 6440 is the same way. It looks like it's almost Kings Highway now, out through McCausland, again at 270, that sort of thing, out through the 70 split. Southbound 55, though, is heavy and slow, especially at Bates. We've got southbound 270 with moderate volume, and that is from Page down through Doherty Ferry. And let's see, North County looks good. If you are headed into Illinois, no delays on the bridges downtown. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Scott Jennings here. I'm excited to be part of the St. Louis conservative conversation, cutting through the noise with unfiltered common sense.
Scott Jennings.
Weekdays at 8 p.m.
on 97.1 FM Talk.
Enjoy your land the way you've always dreamed of. Learn more at MissouriBrushControl.com. Missouri Brush Control is helping landowners reclaim their property, manage vegetation, and clear land for better views. Enjoy your land the way you've always dreamed of. Missouri Brush Control, making acreage great again. Visit MissouriBrushControl.com.
I met the team, and it's a father and son team from MasterCars Inc., Alex and Gary Rosenberger, I think about 11 years ago, and I have bought several vehicles from them. I can't believe it's been that long. And right when I met them, I thought, oh, this is going to be good, because I was due at the end of that year. I think it was like 2013 or 2014. I'm like, I'm looking for a new used car, because I knew what the prices were on the new model that I was looking at. So I went to Alex and I said, hey, can you find me this that has some miles? He found me a beautiful car, exactly what I was looking for, with about 5,000 miles on it. It was awesome. So they can do that for you. You're very specific, and they source you a car. You can look at what they have on the lot, which is a variety, from trucks to Harleys to Corvettes to the Corvette Kings to classic cars like a 1969 Chevy Camaro SS 396 Coupe, which looks amazing. MasterCars Inc. Oh, I mentioned this one the other day too. They have a 1929 Ford Model A5 with a rumble seat. They have it at MasterCars Inc. right now. MasterCarsInc.com.
You know, September makes me think of football, and they are celebrating at Zero Res. Right now, you can get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at $129 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning through the end of the month of September. That's great. Of course, you're going to have people over to watch the big game. You want to have the house clean. Call the cleaning heroes at Zero Res to clean up all of those fumble moments you might have in your house. They can clean up the dust, the dander, the bacteria in your carpet from a whole summer full of fun. And then they'll get the yuck out of your air ducts as well. So let them work on your carpet, your tiles, your upholstery, your hardwood. Every surface in your home can be Zero Resified. It is time to give them a call today, 314-474-2020. Tell them you want the 97.1 special. That's 314-474-2020. Schedule your appointment online at ZeroResSTL.com.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody. Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. 1 discount per household.
Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, we will have I believe today is Thursday. So is today Thursday?
Confirmed.
Thank you. We have a Reardon Roundtable tomorrow. Jane will be here. Former State Senator Jeff Smith and Gene Evans on the panel. Now, Sue, and I'm not doing this in any way, shape, or form to make you feel bad if you don't know this name, because a lot of listeners won't know this name. But if I say the name John Deal, does that mean anything to you?
Nope.
Okay, so John Deal might be best known, I can't even say this with a straight face, as Jane Duker's prom date. True story.
Seriously?
Yeah, but he was Speaker of the Missouri House. Okay? But he was, in fact, Jane's prom date, which will come up multiple times tomorrow. So yesterday at around 1 o'clock, I was in the office, and Beth, who is the news director at KMOX, comes down, and we share information. Like when I have tips for her, I send her text messages. I still have a news instinct because that's where I came from. You know, after music radio, I was doing news before I got into talk. And she said, all right, here's what we're hearing. The feds have told us, the U.S. attorney, that a former politician is going to be indicted tomorrow at 11 a.m. and plead guilty. So I put feelers out. I'm like, all right, who is it? Nobody knew. This was pretty quiet, but it came out today that in the release from the Justice Department, it says the St. Louis lawyer admitted defrauding the U.S. Small Business Administration out of $379,900 by fraudulently obtaining a COVID-19 pandemic note. And they go through the details here. John Deal, 60. Now he kind of, I got to think about this. Jane will know this much better. He left under very unusual circumstances. I believe there was a little bit of a sex with an intern scandal or something like that, or messages. I don't know, but that's kind of what brought
sexting?
him. Yeah, I can't remember all the details, but that's kind of what brought him down from, grace in the public eye. So he admits that on March 30th, 2020, he applied for an EIDL. That's an economic injury disaster loan on behalf of his law firm. And the way they describe it is that was, for struggling businesses during the pandemic, and he applies for it. So he gets the money in April of 2020, and he gets an advance on the loan of $1,000. He makes a country club payment for $1,320 at that time. And then on June 9th, the remainder of the original loan, which was $93,900, was put into his bank account. So then the release says he transferred some of the funds to his personal account between June 10th, 2020 and August 16th, 2021. He impermissibly used the loan proceeds for unauthorized personal use. Those included payments on a Tesla, an Audi, a Jeep, personal credit cards, personal home mortgage, family members' college tuition, pool maintenance, country club dues, fees, and cash withdrawals for personal use and expenses. Then he transferred $50,000 of the proceeds to the law firm's retirement plan. That seems very generous, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know who the only participant in the law firm's retirement plan was?
Him?
It was him.
Oh, no.
And then, so the numbers don't match up. If you go through this, $379,000, how do you get to that? Well, what happened was he applies for a different loan. They get a loan modification. And in April of 2022, I guess he decides, hey, this is going pretty well for me. I get to pay for my Tesla and my Audi and my Jeep. He gets $285,000 transferred into his account. And same thing, uses it on credit cards, college tuition, mortgage, etc. Put $150 into his retirement plan. He pleaded guilty today. He'll be sentenced on December 19th.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Right now on the roads, we've got some volume on westbound 6440. Looks like it's Kings Highway out through McCausland. A little bit at 270, Chesterfield Valley, and then in pockets on out through 70. And that's how 70 is. Little slow at Jennings Station. There's a slow pocket or two past the airport. We did have some volume too, just past 94 and out at Highway A. Southbound 270, moderate volume, and it's Page down through Doherty Ferry, a little bit slow, headed for Gravois as well. 55 is a slow go in the construction zone. So south of Arsenal down through Revis Barracks, we had some moderate volume kind of in the Peevely area around Z, but again, nothing too terrible. And if you're headed into Illinois, we look good on the bridges downtown and the approach to the bridges as well. This report is brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For 25 years, they've been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out. From windows and siding to kitchens, baths, and outdoor spaces, they deliver quality craftsmanship backed by lifetime warranties. Visit lakesiderd.com to start your dream project today. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Here we go for our final Retirement Advisory Group seminar of 2025. I can't believe we're there already. I feel like we just started back in, I don't even think we started until March. We take off during the summer, but this is a great opportunity in a group setting. Some people are more familiar, or more comfortable in a group setting. You don't have to come. You can do an appointment and go one-on-one with the team at the Retirement Advisory Center. But this is a great opportunity to get together in a room on our next event, which is coming up in a couple of Thursdays I think it's a Tuesday at the Plaza Frontenac Hilton. So all you have to do is register. If you go online right now, you can register at retirementkey.com. If you're in retirement, if you're far away from retirement, if you're approaching retirement, it's the final event of the year. It actually is Thursday. I had to double check that. Thursday, October 2nd at the Frontenac Hilton. So it's just in a few weeks. It's a free event. They're quick, easy in and out. We get started around 6:30 p.m. You're out of there by 7:45, and you might learn a lot, and you may have a new strategy for your retirement. RetirementKey.com to get started and register today.
When life happens and you need to sell your St. Louis area home, do what I did. Call my friend and trusted realtor, Gloria Liu, with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. She's here with me today. Gloria is a St. Louis real estate expert with over 22 years of experience and expertise helping you sell fast and for the most money.
Selling your home can be so stressful, especially when life happens, like a sudden job change, a passing of a loved one, or a growing family. Knowing exactly how much your home will sell in today's market is the first step. Then I back it up with an upfront written guarantee. My guarantee is simple and easy to understand. If I can't sell your home at our agreed upon price and time frame, I'll buy it myself.
When life happens, the name to remember is Gloria Liu, Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. I strongly suggest you call her right now. It's 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
Missouri Brush Control is helping landowners reclaim their property, manage vegetation, and clear land for better views. Enjoy your land the way you've always dreamed of. Missouri Brush Control, making acreage great again. Visit MissouriBrushControl.com.
Guys, it's time to take charge of your health with my friends at Victory Men's Health. Mark Cox here. I already love what they do at Victory. They do hormone optimization, sexual health, weight loss, even vitamin deficiencies. Now they're offering specialty cardiovascular testing and even early detection cancer screening. Visit them at one of their 4 great locations, now in Sunset Hills, Town and Country, O'Fallon, Missouri, and O'Fallon, Illinois. Tell them Mark Cox sent you. Go to VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
President Trump says he's hoping for progress. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. This as a manhunt continues for the shooter who killed Charlie Kirk during an event at Utah Valley University yesterday.
Earlier today, law enforcement said that they were trying to identify this suspect using technology, but then they did turn to the public and ask for help, releasing some screen grabs of a person of interest and also offering a $100,000 reward for information.
Fox's Matt Finn. The FBI also has the suspected weapon, a high-powered rifle found in a wooded area nearby, and a footprint, palm and forearm imprint. There have been tributes to Charlie Kirk on college campuses and at his conservative youth organization. Fox's Kristen Goodwin.
Fox bringing flowers, signs, and small American flags to the Phoenix headquarters of Turning Point USA to pay their respects to the nonprofit's founder, Charlie Kirk.
It's really hard. It's not something you imagine you're going to deal with on any given day, no matter who it is.
Riley Corona, a student at Arizona State University, speaking with Phoenix's Fox 10 News. Fellow ASU student Hayden Cooper.
He meant a lot, not just to me, but to my generation, to the younger generation.
And President Trump calls him a giant of his generation, announcing that he'll posthumously award Kirk the Presidential Medal of Freedom. The president speaking earlier at the Pentagon 9/11 ceremony before visiting New York for a Yankees game tonight. This is the vice president and second lady have been meeting with Kirk's family and friends in Utah. Earlier today, a bomb threat at Democratic National Committee headquarters in D.C. deemed not credible. And there have been threats and lockdowns on several college campuses, including Alabama State and Virginia State. No word on a connection between any of those threats reported today. America is listening to Fox News.
You're great at protecting your data, but lots of places could still expose you to identity theft.
I thought it was safe.
If that happens, LifeLock gives you a US-based restoration agent who will stick by your side from start to finish. Phone calls, filing documentation, preparing insurance claims, your agent handles it all. In fact, we're so confident restoration is guaranteed or your money back. Isn't it nice to have someone like that on your side? Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at VaxAssist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
You knew our fantastic weather couldn't last summer, making another push. Plenty of sunshine on this Thursday afternoon, 92. Clear skies, 67 tonight. Friday, it is summertime. Sunny, hot, and humid Friday, 95 degrees. Saturday, sunny, hot, and humid, 96. Sunday, partly sunny, hot, and humid. Maybe an isolated afternoon storm Sunday at 95. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist, Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, as we approach the weekend, we will have a Reardon Roundtable tomorrow. Jane Duker on the panel. Former State Senator Jeff Smith and Gene Evans will be on my side. We'll have all the fun stuff in the 4 o'clock hour with Paul Hall at 4:33 on entertainment. Cusimano's going to be here. I think Brad Young's going to swing by for a visit in the 5 o'clock hour. So we will take you into the weekend in fine fashion. You know, it's another football weekend, and the Mizzou Tigers play, and they had a 2 p.m. start time. So they changed that this afternoon to a noon start time, Sue.
Why
I'm
did
trying
they
to
change
figure
it?
this out.
Is it about TV? I'm sure.
No, it's not actually. It's not
What?
about TV. It is about
The
heat and humidity. Let me read you
Oh,
what
yeah.
they said. So
It's
but-
supposed to peak at 3 and 4 in the afternoon.
Okay, that's fine. But then, so it says Saturday's football game versus Louisiana has been moved to a noon kickoff time due to extreme heat in the forecast. Digital tickets will adjust automatically. First of all, this screws everyone who had plans and tailgating
yeah,
and
it
all that stuff
does.
like that. But let's say you're going for cooler temps. At noon, more of the stadium will be under sunshine in theory. You know what I mean? It's you get closer in the afternoon to 4 in sunset, you'll have the sun behind the seats in the press box that are all on the west side of the stadium. Does that make sense?
It does, but I think the meteorologists say that the hottest part happens 2 to 4.
And that would, in theory, be after the game.
And
well,
that would,
although
in
that's the
theory,
second
be,
half
yeah.
of the game. See, that's the thing. I
And
don't
you
think
don't
it
know
gives
how
you a
long
win.
it'll go.
It's a 4-hour game usually. So let's say they start at 2, and the hottest spot is between 2 and 4. Well, all you've done is change the second half to the hottest time.
Yeah.
Not the first half. So I don't think it makes any sense. All right. Today is my wife's birthday. 9/11, unfortunately. Now I'm going to send something to you, Sue, right here. I want you to read it because I think if I read it, I'll probably cry. But this was something that my daughter wanted me. So tell me when you get the text message.
I'm ready.
As I sent the picture, it might take a second.
Oh.
My daughter had me go on Amazon. She was very excited to get this lotion. And, you know, she came 2 days ago and said, "Hey, has the package arrived?" I said, "Yes, it's arrived. It's fine. You got to look for it on the," I think I was texting her yesterday, and she found it. The package arrived. So you see the note that she left
That
her?
is so sweet.
I thought it was amazing. I cried when I read it this morning. So you want to read what it says?
And should I say it's a candle, right? What is that?
I don't really know. It
I
must
think
be a
it
candle.
is.
Yeah, because it says,
Oh, look, it's on
fire.
fire.
It says mom's last nerve.
Yes.
I didn't pay much attention. She sends me the link. This kid's a shopper, okay? She sends me the link, and it's not that much. So I'm like,
Right.
okay. I press go on it, and I tell Becky, I'm like, don't look at the Amazon account. But yes, I think you're right. I think it's
It's a candle,
candle.
that says mom's last nerve, and then in little writing at the bottom, oh, look, it's on fire. That's pretty funny.
That's funny.
All right, here's the note. No matter how old I get, I'll always need you. For all the times I forgot to say thank you, for all the special little things you do, and for all the world's left turn.
The words left unspoken.
Oh, sorry.
I think.
The
No,
words
it's-
left unspoken.
The writing's
She
a little,
writes like her dad.
Well, a little. She's in 5th grade.
Okay. All the words left unspoken. Always remember, Mom, I love you. That is so sweet.
Wasn't it great? I
Yes.
thought that was, I'm so
You
proud
want
of
to
her
know
for doing that.
my immediate thoughts are AI. That's how sweet that was. I'm like, oh my
I
gosh,
know, I
an
thought
11-year-old doesn't come up with that, but that is so genuine and so sweet. and
It's
says a lot
better
about her.
when you actually see it written out because it is haphazard, if you will, because she's in 5th grade. But I thought that was amazing. Now, my mother, Judy Reardon, who listens from Chicago, she sends me a text today, and she says, "I hope you're doing something special for your wife on her birthday. If not today, take her out for a special dinner this weekend." And what I said was, "I'm not doing something special. You know who's doing something special for my wife tonight? The NFL, because the Packers play." Oh, yeah. And this is what makes my wife so awesome, because I said to her And I kind of, when I phrased the question 2 nights ago, I think she got angry at me. I said, I was specifically talking about food, right? I said, well, what do you want to do for your birthday? And what I meant was, what do you want to do for your birthday dinner? Because I knew that we weren't going to go out, because her response was very, very aggressively, what do you mean? We're watching the Packers play. So, sports is one thing that brought Becky and I together many, many years ago, more than 2 decades ago in Milwaukee. And, I've said this before, we really do kind of plan our weekends around football and the NFL. And I nickname her Pete Rose because she has a bit of a gambling problem when it comes to football. And she never really tells me. I'm kidding a little bit, but she won a couple of days ago, and then she tells me after she won. Didn't tell me when she places the bet or if she loses. That's what you do. As someone who used to play the horses quite a bit, you never talk about the races that you don't hit. You always talk about the ones that you hit, even if you didn't cash a ticket on all the other ones. That's just something you do.
Anytime that you have a moment like that, right, where it's just like man, yeah, I picked the right one. I got the right one. I have
a good feeling.
Super quick story about this. Hannah and I were dating, and it was probably a year before we got engaged. And I call her during week 1, huge Vikings fan. She's a huge Vikings fan. I call her, and she answers quickly and says, I'll call you back at halftime, and ends it. And there was a moment of, yeah, I picked the right one.
No kidding.
I know she's the one.
Look, everyone's got their things, and I get that there are plenty of couples that somebody's going to be watching TV upstairs, and maybe someone else watching something downstairs, and we do that too. We don't have the same entertainment on all the time, but I mean, football really does bring us together.
It's a uniter.
I started going to. I'd never been to a Packers game until I worked up there in 1997 at WTMJ, and it was funny. The guy who hired me, he was a guy named Steve Wexler. He was a great mentor of mine, and he brings me in from St. Louis, and he has big plans for me. He even called it the Mark Reardon plan. I never knew what that plan was, because 3 months after he hired me, he got shipped out and transferred to a station in Arizona. I'm like,
that's how it goes.
What happened to the Mark Reardon? Because part of the Mark Reardon plan was to go to Lambeau Field that fall. I'm like, hey, wait a second. So this is a true story. So Steve leaves. I'm new. I don't have the oomph with the sales staff to get tickets, right? So you'll like this, Ethan. I called Steve Moore, who was our boss right now. Steve was my boss at KSD, which was KSD AM at the time. We carried the Rams games. Some of the worst radio I've ever heard in my life was the Rich Brooks show. When Rich Brooks was the coach of the Rams, this is when they first came.
No.
Oh, my God, it was terrible. So I called Steve up, and I said, dude, I got to get to a Packers game, right? And I might have lost my, I was new at the time. I went to plenty of games once I established myself. But he says, well, you can hold a parabolic microphone on the sideline if you want to. I said, I'm in. So you know what I'm talking about? The parabolic mic is
hilarious.
It's like that cone-shaped microphone.
Yes.
And they still use them, even with all the technology out there, because it gets you the audio that's coming from the field, all the hits and all that stuff. So I stood on Lambeau Field and held a parabolic for a game. And I had never been, look, I spent, 11, 12 years on the press table at the University of Missouri during Coach Stewart's era. It was legendary. I had so much fun. I was right on the court, right? I had never been on the field for a football game. And when you're that close to the action, you think that they're moving fast and they're hitting hard on television. When you see these guys in person, the speed at which they move and the violence and the hits, it puts you in another, league thinking about the game. Now, of course, I'm kind of on high alert because I think at the time, maybe I wanted to get run over by a player, so maybe I could sue the NFL. But I saw somebody this past weekend get bowled over. I mean, they could have gotten hurt pretty badly.
Happens
all
week.
The time. Right.
I did a story in the Dome for Channel 4 about how loud it got down there. We had one of those things and had an ear doctor on to say how loud it was and blah, blah, blah. And then I did a live shot and tossed to Steve Savard. I mean, that's how long ago this was.
Right.
And it was super loud. So outdoor stadiums, at least it's okay. But boy, indoor, it's just nuts.
Unfortunately, I came and I did my show from St. Louis, from KMOX, when the Packers played the Rams in the playoffs. This would have probably been, I don't think it was the Super Bowl winning year, but one of those years. And that place was, as much as I hate the Dome to this day, because I think it's just run down and ugly and gross. And but that place was rocking.
Yeah, it was. It really was.
All right, we got Sue's News on a Thursday coming up here. At 4:30, Phil Holloway from Fox News will continue to cover the Charlie Kirk assassination. We do, let me just kind of Oh, this is, wait, hang on. Let me go to this. This was moments ago, President Trump. Let's see if we can catch this.
Go ahead, do it again. Do it again.
How do you think Israel's attacking Doha will affect the hostage deal?
All right, he's going to get into some other categories here, but it looks like he is, well, Brian Kilmeade said that he's on set with them tomorrow in New York. So he's just taking a couple of questions. What I was going to say is they had a briefing that was scheduled down in, where this took place. And now I'm completely blanking on where he was. He was in Utah. So they had a news conference that was planned, and then they delayed it, right? Because it looked like Kash Patel and other officials were flying to Utah to maybe make a joint announcement this afternoon. I'm not saying they have the shooter, but it sure looks like they're close.
It does.
Or they might have him, and we'll keep you posted on that.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the road, southbound 55, a slow go at Bates. We've got westbound 6440 lined up. It's just the usual. So Kings Highway out through McCausland, slowing again at 270. And we've got some volume through Chesterfield Valley and then Lake St. Louis Boulevard out through 70. Now 70 westbound, little slow at Jennings Station Road and then in front of the airport. In fact, eastbound is slow at the Rock Road and then slow pockets on out. What's unusual is a jam on southbound 79 and North Main Street. An accident there. Boy, is that backed up behind it. Woo! So that's all the way back past Prairie Marsh Farm. It is a slow go through there. If you are headed into Illinois, there's some volume on 6440 headed for the Poplar Street Bridge, but things are fine on the bridge itself. This report brought to you by Barron Mirror Glass and Door. They have the largest, most beautiful showroom in all of St. Louis, full of the latest, most custom designs, located in Chesterfield Valley, and you'll see why they say creativity unlimited, quality unsurpassed. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Well, I want to talk about Susan L. Ward, who is an outstanding family practice attorney here in St. Louis. You may have been divorced and then years later something comes up. This happened with me. I moved back here to St. Louis. I had to do a new parenting plan. You need an attorney for that. So if you modify custody or a parenting plan, you may need a family practice attorney, even if you had an attorney when you went through your divorce. Child support sometimes gets modified. Spousal support modification is an issue. So Susan and the team don't only help with when you might be ending a marriage, but in the aftermath of that, any kind of modification petitions, they certainly can handle that. I learned very quickly that there's a big difference in the laws from state to state. Missouri different than Wisconsin. Missouri was quite more favorable, I think, in the way that they do their modifications, or not the modifications, but the calculations. But Susan and her team can walk you through that, and they can do it from a brand new office, which is in De Pere near 270 in Manchester. They just opened up a few months ago. I know Susan's very proud of that. To get a hold of the team confidentially, you can do it online at stlfamilylaw.com. There's a web on the website. There's a contact form, or you can call 314-783-9400. The focus on family law and the emphasis on you, Susan L. Ward.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel, and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
If you suffer from burning, tingling, or numb feet, pay special attention as we discuss neuropathy with Dr. Patton, D.C. Doctor, what is neuropathy?
Peripheral neuropathy is nerve damage to the feet and legs.
What are the symptoms?
The symptoms are numbness, burning, tingling, pain, and loss of balance.
Is neuropathy treatable?
It's absolutely treatable, and we have amazing results.
If you have burning, tingling, numbness, coldness in your feet or hands or balance issues, call us at Comprehensive Integrated Health today for a nerve damage screening. The screening screening will tell if you're at risk for serious complications and if you're a candidate for our cutting-edge treatment program. Don't wait until your symptoms are so severe nothing can be done. End-stage neuropathy leaves people confined to walkers, wheelchairs, and even amputations. The first 10 callers will receive a free nerve damage screening. Call 636-538-5188. That's 636-538-5188 for your free nerve damage screening. 636-538-5188.
He's Donald Trump's #1 enemy in Congress, Chicago Senator Dick Durbin. And now Dick Durbin has a new scheme, a government takeover of your credit card. Today, consumers have thousands of choices in credit cards, all with equal, strong security. But Durbin's plan is less competition and less security. And that means more risk for your credit and your identity. Tell Republicans in Congress, stop Dick Durbin's takeover of your credit card before it's too late.
Paid for by Electronic Payments Coalition.
We know there's a lot that can go on during one night of baseball. Long home runs, epic pitching performances, catches that defy space, time, and gravity.
Climbing the wall! Did he catch it? He did!
But what if you could get all of that summarized in a quick, concise, and at least we think, funny podcast that's under 10 minutes? Check out MLB.com's morning lineup. It runs Monday through Friday mornings on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you love listening most.
Now back to Mark Reardon, calling out the nonsense, one segment at a time. 97.1 FM Talk.
Yesterday, I played some really, I thought, unique audio from my friend John Ziegler and his daughter Grace, 13 years old, opening up a package from Charlie Kirk. And John's going to share that story and reflect on the last 36 hours or so coming up after 4. TJ Moe, who is always on fire with his opinions, former Mizzou and NFL player. He contributes to Fearless with Jason Whitlock on Blaze TV. He has some things to say about what's happened in the last day and a half. He joins us at 5:30 plus an audio cut of the day. That's all coming up here this afternoon. Got to do this, though, before any of that.
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment.
It's not clear messaging.
No.
And now, Sue's News. Brought to you by Sue.
We had to skip you yesterday, unfortunately.
Yeah, that was a weird day, unfortunately. I thought we should talk about the anniversary of 9/11, 24 years ago today. In 2001 at 8:46 a.m. and at 9:03 a.m., 2 hijacked planes were crashed into the World Trade Center. Mark, I know we all remember where we were. I can't remember your story.
Yeah, well, I mentioned earlier, so I was actually I was in Bayside, Wisconsin at my house that I lived at with my 2 kids. They were not at daycare. I can't remember why they weren't. I did evening radio at the time, and we were watching Blue's Clues. And my sister calls me and says, "Did you see what happened?" I said, "No." She said, "Turn on the Today Show." And then moments after that is when the second plane went in. So, and then I went right into work and took the kids into daycare. And then they sent me home and they said, "No, we need you for tonight." So I ended up being on, I don't even know what it was, 6 to midnight, 6 to 1 or 2 in the morning, covering all that. The Cardinals were in Milwaukee on 9/11 and they canceled the game that night. I had some friends in town who we were all supposed to go to the game. So yeah, I remember it well. Unfortunately, I mentioned with Brian too that 9/11 museum is really something. And have you been there? Steve?
No, and I need to go.
You have to put it on your list, and it makes an impression. I was able to take my son Aiden, who was born in 2000, to that museum right before he went off to Mizzou to college. So I would highly recommend it. I think they did a really good job.
Likewise.
Yeah, I need to see it.
The other thing I would say is if you have not seen American Manhunt, Osama bin Laden on HBO, it's incredible, and it would be must-see TV. You will not be able to turn it off. You know that, Ethan. You watched it. It's 3 parts. Unbelievable. It will make you proud, even with Barack Obama making his decisions. It'll make you proud to be an American. It's really good.
So well done. So much information. It's very well done. Highly recommend.
When I get a TV set up, I'll start in. Okay.
That's what happens when you move, right?
That is
Slow
what happens.
Transition.
Yeah, oh my gosh. The 2 other suicide flights, by the way, crashed at the Pentagon in the woods of Pennsylvania. I do want to mention this just because I feel like we should every year. A total of 2,792 people died in the World Trade Center.
Staggering.
It's staggering.
That whole week, there was just a cloud over the whole country.
Yes.
And there's a couple things that I remember because there was a charity event that I was to take part in that Friday. and we had a debate. You know, it was a beer drinking deal, and I can't remember exactly all the specifics, but we're like, should we have this? Should we not? We decided to do it because we felt at that point people needed the release. But what I remember is driving through the suburbs of Milwaukee to get to this event, and it was the night of the candlelight vigil, and it was just so awesome to see everyone. You know, you talk about our country coming together. Our country came together. I don't know if it'll ever come together again, but it did in those moments.
It surely did. 184 innocent people died in the Pentagon attack and 40 on the plane that crashed in Pennsylvania. That was 24 years ago today. Now, 38 years ago today, I don't think I remembered this. Mark, see if you do. In 1987, while a tennis tournament ran overtime, Dan Rather stormed off the set of the CBS Evening News. The tennis coverage ended, and Rather was nowhere to be found. Crickets. So the network actually went black for 6 minutes.
No, I do not remember this.
I don't remember that at all. It's because it's the 80s and we weren't watching the nightly news, but oh my gosh.
Well, I think a lot of people were, but I was in, post-college. What year? 86 or
87.
Well, it was my first year in, full-time in radio, but I don't know. I don't remember that one.
No,
I remember What's the Frequency, Kenneth, and that whole thing.
I don't remember it either.
This.
I don't know why.
Well,
Shut up. 30 years before you were
all
born or
right.
something.
Okay.
But I mean, for a network, let's face it.
Okay.
That's pretty significant.
It is. And they couldn't run a package. Why go black for 6 minutes?
That's crazy.
What are you doing?
I mean, let me just tell you, someone, this being in radio, 3 seconds of dead air is a lot.
Yes.
6 minutes.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, that's just insane to me. I can't believe they couldn't come up with something else. Okay. Just a tidbit here. The Eagles are extending their residency at the Sphere through January. Did you see them there? Or the Eagles aren't your
you
thing?
too, right?
No, the Eagles are totally my thing,
Okay.
but I did not. I've seen, 2 shows at Sphere. I have not seen them. I would like to have some friends that are going out this weekend to see it. I've heard it's an excellent show. By the way, do you know what they're doing right now at Sphere on the nights where they don't have the Eagles?
No.
I meant to talk about this, and it's they're making $2 million a
Wizard of
day
Oz?
What?
showing the Wizard of
Yeah.
Oz.
Are
They have
you
a 70-minute version of the Wizard of Oz, and when you feel like when you're in the Sphere, they have things.
That's
you'll
5D,
feel
isn't
the
it?
wind, you'll feel the mist and stuff like that.
That's genius.
I saw a
It
video.
ain't cheap, I'll tell you that
I
much.
saw a video of leaves blowing
Yes.
around
No way.
inside the Sphere during the tornado, like you're inside
Yes.
the tornado.
Okay, that's really cool. I
Yeah.
hope Abby, a former producer, Abby, heard that. She would love that. All right, the Emmys go down Sunday night. Don't really care, but this blew my mind. Okay. Of all the nominated series in all categories, Americans watched one way more than the others, and you're not going to believe what it was. Okay, Ethan, thoughts? Because Mark Reardon actually watches this show.
Oh, that's pretty funny. So you're talking about one specific show.
One specific show, way more than any others. And I thought this thing was dead, but it
And it's
isn't.
something that's nominated right now.
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh, I can't.
It's
think
up
what
for
it was.
outstanding reality competition
Oh,
series.
Survivor.
It's Survivor.
Oh
I
man, I,
love
never would have
Survivor.
guessed.
I know you do. And I said, what?
So we're doing it right now. We're on like season 30 of Survivor because we go back and we're watching I've seen them all, but it's one of those things, I'll be honest with you. Last night, things sort of hit me after the show. I was doing the show. I didn't get very emotional, and I'm covering it. And I just kind of got really, really sad last night.
Yeah.
And I made the mistake of turning on, they have a modern reboot of Match Game that is hosted by Martin Short.
Do they have the tiny mics?
It's the worst. It's awful. But then, Becky got home. She got home a little late, and we turned Survivor on because we just kind of watch it in the background. And the new season's coming up in a couple of weeks. But yeah, it's always up there for best reality show. It is a well-done reality show.
I will say, I just had no idea people still watched it. I went to the first season at Ann Steffen's apartment when they
That's
revealed
funny.
who did it. Anyway, it racked up 462.4 million total viewing hours. The second most watched show didn't get half that, and
That's
it was
incredible.
White Lotus.
Wow.
Maybe you're right, though, Mark. Maybe it's a background show.
Well, it's also a family thing. I mean, we can watch it with Alexa, and she likes watching it.
See, yeah, that's a good
There aren't a
point.
lot of shows like that.
Yeah, White Lotus is not one.
No, we're not watching that one with the kids. Right.
And number 3, outstanding comedy series nominee Abbott Elementary is third. I have seen that show.
I've never seen that one.
But my precious only murders in the building is fourth, 159.1 million.
That's pretty good.
Severance rounds out the top five, 157.5 million hours. All right, the Girl Scouts have revealed a new cookie for next year. They're
Hey-o.
called Explore Mores.
Okay.
They are Rocky Road inspired. They're chocolate cookies which have a creamy filling with notes of chocolate, marshmallow, and toasted almond flavor cream. The organization say they reflect the spirit of exploration at the heart of every Girl Scout. Explore Mores will be available when Girl Scout Cookie begins in January. That doesn't sound half bad.
It sounds a little like the s'mores that they have, though, too.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
yeah.
Right? Well, why are we doing this?
I will stick with my tagalongs. And Thin Mints.
Tagalongs? No. What's the coconut one I like, Mark? What are those things?
Those are so
Samoas?
good.
The Samoas ones are really
Oh.
good. Listen, there's about 4 or 5 that just never that never
The
miss. in my
Samoas
opinion.
are the best, though. They really are. Are the tagalongs the peanut butter ones?
chocolate peanut
Yeah,
butter.
okay.
The
Those
dozy
are-
the dozy
peanut
dos
butter.
are the peanut butter sandwich.
What
ones.
are just the wafer
Thin Mint?
butter,
No.
like the butter cookie
Oh,
type?
the chess one?
No, just
I
like
don't know.
they're in a blue
I like
package.
the lemon
I
ones
love
are really
those.
good too.
Huh.
They just don't miss.
They used to do this thing, and I don't know if they still do it. It was for Girl Scouts called Desserts First, and it was a fundraiser, and you'd have to create out of Girl Scout cookies, you have to create desserts, and it was pretty cool. Sorry, you got to do the
Random fact.
fast.
Huey Lewis got a perfect score on the math portion of the SATs.
Look at
There
that.
you go.
Look at that. There you go. Is exactly right.
I'm Chad Robinson with Your Money Now. Stocks rose today as traders remain cautiously optimistic. The latest reading of the Consumer Price Index won't stand in the way of the Federal Reserve lowering interest rates next week. All 3 major averages scored new intraday all-time highs today. The Dow setting a record up 617 points. The S&P 500 and NASDAQ both following suit, up 55 and 155 respectively. Shares of Opendoor jumping 50% higher today after the company announced new positions for some of its executives. The meme stock hit a 52-week high, continuing its pace this year as shares remain up more than 400%. Bloomberg reports that Elon Musk is no longer the world's richest man. Oracle co-founder Larry Ellison leapfrogging Musk yesterday after company shares surged by more than a third. Shares of Oracle drew back 7% today. Crude oil futures for October are down more than 2% above 62 a barrel. That's Your Money Now.
What are you doing every day to support your liver? If you enjoy sweets, fast food, alcohol, or take any medications, that's a vital question to ask. Hi, I'm Sherry Torkas, pharmacist and health author. For over 30 years, I've helped people make informed decisions about their health, especially concerning prevention and long-term wellness. Supporting your liver isn't just a wellness trend, it's a daily essential. That's why I recommend Active Liver by New Nordic. It's made with plant-based ingredients like milk thistle, turmeric, and globe artichoke, herbs clinically studied for their protective and restorative effects on the liver. Active Liver blends traditional herbal wisdom with modern scientific research. Not all supplements are created equal. I trust Active Liver because it's backed by science, meets strict quality standards, and delivers true daily liver support.
Protect your liver and give it the support that it deserves by making Active Liver from New Nordic part of your daily wellness routine. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
Well, it is Thursday night, and that means there is Thursday night football for the first time I guess second time because we did start last week. Man, the season's already half over. Now it's just 2 games, but big game tonight, Packers and the Commanders. I'm excited because I'm on Underdog Fantasy. And if you're not on Underdog Fantasy, you should be, because you can have a lot of fun, in particular with football. And it's very, very easy the way that you participate in Underdog Fantasy. The first thing you got to do is download the app. It is a yellow app with a dog. So you download that, you come up with a username and a password. You're off and running at that point. Now, in order to do some picks on what they call the Champions Game, you have to have a little money in the account. So when you do that, use the promo code MARKR. And that will get you $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. And if you're looking at the game tonight, all you have to do is pick whether I'm a Packers fan, so I'd go Jordan Love or maybe, Josh Jacobs, or you can do some things on the defensive side as well. You can mix it with Jaden Daniels or Terry McLaurin on the other side of the field. You can do many selections. You can do a few. You can play with as little as $1. And all you do is pick higher or lower on a player's stats, touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. You can win up to 5,000 times your money. So use that promo code MarkR. Get going today. Underdog. Make plays, win money. Must be 18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
When it comes to affordable term life insurance, everyone's whistling the Big Lou tune. If you're over 50, maybe a bit porky, or have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost about $200 a month. Even if you're not in perfect health, call Big Lou, because he specializes in finding big chunks of affordable term life insurance for just about everyone. Don't let diabetes or other health glitches keep you from owning $500,000 to $1 million or more of term life insurance. For affordable term life insurance, call Big Lou. Don't hesitate. Call 800-700-6898, 800-700-6898, or visit biglou.com.
Call Big Lou, don't hesitate. 800-700-6898. Call Big Lou, don't hesitate. 800-700-6898. Visit biglou.com.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
And this portion of the show on a Thursday sponsored by our friends at Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
Born in the Midwest, built on common sense. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis conservative.
Sue, I did put that lovely note written by my daughter. It wasn't exactly scribble, but she's just in 5th grade, so you have to, forgive the spelling
It's really
errors.
sweet.
It is sweet. For Mom's birthday, Rebecca Reardon. I won't say the age, of course, but she was born. It's 9/11. That was one for a while we didn't really celebrate on 9/11, if you know what I mean.
Gosh.
We have John Ziegler coming up after the top of the hour. TJ Moe will talk politics and probably a little football, since he used to play football for Mizzou. Phil Holloway, Fox News legal analyst in Atlanta, is with us this afternoon. Phil, how are you? I mean, it's been a crazy day and a half, hasn't it?
Man, it really has. Great to be with you. Although I'm sorry to have to be on your show with all the just terrible, awful things that are happening in the news today. But always a pleasure.
What do you think? At this point, I was explaining to the audience that earlier this afternoon, I think it was around 1:00, it appeared as if they were going to do some sort of briefing from Utah, and then they put a halt on that, and it looked like Kash Patel and others were flying out there. Do you think they have this shooter at this point? They got to be close, right?
My sense is that I don't think they may have him in custody. I think they have identified the shooter. I believe that if he were in custody, and I do believe it's a he, if he were in custody or otherwise neutralized, that would have leaked out. Now, I could be wrong. I could very well be wrong about this, but my sense is they have made major progress. I think, though, that this might even be wrapped up before this calendar day is out. I have some sources that are in the general area out there, and I think it's very, very close to a conclusion. I certainly hope so.
So we know that they found a weapon, a .30-06. They found some, shells that had apparently, I guess CNN refers to them as cultural issues, but things related to trans ideology on them. I mean, he was literally shot in the middle of a question about trans shooters. I don't know if that was just coincidental or if the shooter somehow could hear the audio, because they were probably a couple hundred yards away is what we're hearing on that rooftop. And then there was video that was emerging, as you know, Phil, yesterday, of some movement on that rooftop. But whoever did this probably had to rehearse it a little bit, wouldn't you think?
I would think so, at least in the sense of knowing what the venue was, knowing the layout. It was no secret where he was going to be. And of course, they set up for these things. Sometimes they start setting up days in advance. So it would not be all that difficult for someone who had the mind to do it to pre-position a rifle so that they wouldn't be seen walking in with one. And, I'm not saying that this is some kind of professional hit, but I am saying that this is not someone who's completely unintelligent and at least, knows right from wrong. They knew that they had to sneak their materials and firearms in there, and they knew that they had to try to escape. So they knew that what they were doing was wrong, and they had to be sneaky about it. I do think it was a rifle shot. I recognized it almost immediately
right away.
as a rifle shot. And look, I think it's probably going to wind up being a little less than 200 yards, but we'll have to wait and see. But nevertheless, if the gun that's being shown and reported to be the 30-06 rifle with a scope, if that is in fact the murder weapon, that's not something that it takes a whole hell of a lot of skill necessary. I mean, it's the kind of thing that hunters where I grew up, can make that shot.
Yeah, it's
easy,
not. I would
without
say
any practice.
What I would say is it's not an easy shot, but it's not a hard shot. If you have a bipod, and it's one thing if you're in a tree stand. I'm not the greatest marksman, but I have hit deer at 200 yards. But if you're sitting there and you have a bipod, and you have a clear shot at someone, it's not that difficult because the scope is so powerful.
I think that it was one shot, and it was from someone who was familiar with firearms, but not necessarily an expert sniper, but just enough to get the job done.
What would you say about the reaction? I mean, there's two different sets of reaction. There's the mourning for Charlie from a lot of people who knew him. I did not have a relationship with him. I did not know him. A lot of friends of mine, Eric Schmidt, our senator from Missouri, knew him very well. He was taking it very hard. So you're getting reaction from three different places, I think, from people who knew him, the conservative community, also from the lefty politicians who are, I think virtue signaling a little. But I mean, some of the stuff that's happening on Blue Sky and TikTok and the celebrations that are taking place. And I guess we shouldn't be surprised, Phil. We see this all the time. But there's a lot of people out there like George Conway. Have you seen some of his tweets? They're not being shy. They're not afraid. Ilhan Omar's out there talking about how
gleeful.
Yeah, they are gleeful.
Yeah, and so Stephen Miller posted on X today, and this is something that I've been aware of, and I think probably you have too, but he articulated this really well, speaking about this ideology that's been sort of growing over the last several years throughout the United States. And it's this ideology that hates things that we would traditionally consider to be good and things that we would want to aspire to, such as a traditional family, a loving husband and a father and beautiful kids and a successful story based on hard work and merit, which is the Charlie Kirk story, of course. And that lifestyle, that belief, just they hate it, okay? And so they will go so far as to commit acts of violence. And look, we can see it in the rhetoric that comes from the far left. We hear them all the time talking about violence in their rhetoric. We see it from Joe Biden. We see it from Chuck Schumer. We see it from all the top leaders on the political left, but we also see it in the far left lunatic fringe of the Antifa types. And they are very violent. They're very militant. They will not tolerate anyone who believes differently or sees things differently. I don't know how we got here. Honestly, it was one of these things where the frog is boiled slowly, but at some point the frog is nevertheless boiled. And I am scratching my head. I hope we can figure out a way to move back to some type of normalcy. I hope that this growing ideology of hate from the far left, I hope that we can curtail that some way. But I really don't know what the answer is. But Stephen Miller was very articulate and I think very spot on when he made that post on X.
And it's a valid point. And I said something in the monologue this afternoon because, look, this is where, you want to be careful because there's one dude that's responsible for this. It appears, I don't know, maybe it could run deeper than that, but it is not just the fringe that have been expressing the hateful rhetoric. To your point, you literally have the guy that was president. He might not have been cognitively aware that he was president, but Joe Biden, Kamala, Tim Walz, AOC, Gavin Newsom, Hakeem Jeffries, Wesley Bell, Cori Bush, the list goes on and on. They call us Nazis, bigots, transphobes, gun nuts, religious nuts. I mean, at a certain point, threat to democracy over and over and over again. Last July, we got to tamp down the rhetoric. They didn't tamp down any rhetoric. So, and where, as I said earlier, where are the people on the right that are disowning family members because they happen to have different political opinions, right?
It's these violent or vile and violent far leftists. Those are the ones who that's their base. So they can't really completely tamp it down. They can give lip service sometimes to tamping it down, but they don't. They have to keep that part of their base riled up, or they would get no votes. And so it's one of these things where I don't have the answers, but this is almost, and I don't think this is hyperbole to say this is an existential crisis for American society. We are going to have to go in one direction or another, but going in their direction is just not tenable. It's not consistent with our heritage, our history, our identity, who we are as Americans. And we are at a inflection point. And this is like the crescendo, and we're going to have to figure out how to move forward and continue with a moral society, a rational society, a sane society, and a civilization that, can sort of tolerate different beliefs, but still move forward in a positive way. And the far left, the violent far left, is not going to stand for that.
No, I don't think they're going to change their behavior at all. I really don't. Let's hope they get this shooter in custody soon. Phil Holloway, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
You got it, brother. Anytime.
I have some audio that I want to share that I've not shared here yet this afternoon. TMZ took some heat because it appeared as if that there were people in the studio with Harvey Levin that were cheering this on yesterday. I have a little bit of a different thought on that. We'll get to that next and some other stuff. We also have John Ziegler after the top of the hour.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
We had a stall northbound 270 to Dorset. Watch for that on the right shoulder. Some debris. This is reported westbound 70 past Zumbel. Watch for that in the left lane. And we had some emergency vehicles eastbound 70 past Lake St. Louis Boulevard, but it looks like they have cleared that. Where we do have a jam is southbound 55. Boy, it's really jammed tonight, headed down toward Bates. So that starts near, we'll call it south of Arsenal. There's volume east and westbound 44 underneath and headed for the Poplar Street Bridge. Westbound 64 lines up, looks like Kings Highway out through McCausland and then approaching Lindbergh out through 270. Some moderate volume through Chesterfield Valley and at Lake St. Louis Boulevard. 70 moderate volume at Jennings Station Road. And of course, by the debris I just mentioned, and again in O'Fallon. Southbound 270, it's still just moderate volume from Page down through Doherty Ferry. I'm Sue Thomas, and that is traffic. This report brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, they've been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out. From windows and siding to kitchens, baths, and outdoor spaces, they deliver quality craftsmanship and lifetime warranties. LakesideRD.com to start your dream project. I'm Sue Thomas. That's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Bold, unapologetic, unfiltered. The Mark Cox Morning Show is covering the issues that matter to you. From borders to school boards, Mark Cox is St. Louis Conservative.
Mark Cox here. Join me, Mark Reardon, and Annie Fry, along with Thomas Helbig of the Retirement Advisory Group for the last Protecting Your Retirement educational event of the year. It's Thursday, October 2nd at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Here's Thomas with more.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired and wondering if your 401k and IRA will last through your lifetime? Do you have your own personalized structured income plan set up? The markets are hitting all-time highs. Would you like to learn how to automatically lock in your gains without having to sell? Did you also know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to protect your nest egg? You'll get all the answers and more. If you're 59 and a half or older, you can't afford to miss the last event of the year.
Protect your retirement nest egg. Join the official financial advisor of my show, Thomas Helbig, at the Frontenac Hilton, Thursday, October 2nd at 6:30. Go online to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. I've been asked many times how Morgan & Morgan became the largest injury firm in the world. I think I know. When someone comes to us for an on-the-job injury, we have a huge workers' compensation practice. But many times we find a defective product that was responsible for that injury. Luckily for them, we have a product liability section headed by my son, Mike. In addition to the comp case, there's a product case too. Other times, the injured worker is fired or harassed for bringing that claim. We have them covered. Our employment lawyers handle retaliation claims as well as wage theft and discrimination cases, and in some cases need to file for Social Security benefits. No problem. We became big for a reason. 30% of our new cases come as referrals from former clients. Hiring us is easy. Go to forthepeople.com on your mobile device or computer, or call Pound Law on your cell, pound 529. Morgan & Morgan. Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Celebrate September with Zero Res and get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Book online at ZeroResSTL.com. Take advantage of these huge savings. Spell it forward or backwards, it spells the same, Zero Res.
We, without hesitation, recommend that anybody work with ThrottleNet. The experience will be as good as it's been for us, for anybody, because you'll get a true partnership and you'll be able to rest easy that you're going to get the service that you need, while they're also doing all those things that you don't want to have to think about, that you don't want to have to worry about. They're always doing that in the background for you.
Don't wait for your next IT crisis. If your business depends on technology, you need a partner that's got your back. Contact ThrottleNet.com to get a free IT evaluation and see how we can support your IT everything.
Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Just after we let Phil Holloway go, he shared this with me, and I think this is circulating, and some of this stuff goes back several years, but this is from our former president, right? Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans are a threat to the very soul of this country. Donald Trump is the greatest threat to our democracy. These are all separate tweets from different times. Donald Trump is a genuine threat to this nation. He's a threat to our freedom. He's a threat to our democracy. He's literally a threat to everything America stands for. Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. We cannot let him win. I'm in Madison, Wisconsin, talking to folks about what's at stake in this election. Trump poses many threats to our country: the right to choose, civil rights, voting rights, America's standing in the world. But the greatest threat he poses is to our democracy. If we lose that, we lose everything. The whole threat to democracy thing that was over and over and over that was said. So I'm going to play you some audio here, some of which is very revolting and disgusting reaction from, I would say, the fringe lefties. I hope this would not be the moderate lefties. But first, this happened on the set of TMZ and Harvey Levin's show yesterday. Now, I want you to play. I want to play this and just let you hear it real quick, and then I'll give you the background.
Go to
all right, so what's happening is you hear the people cheering in the background, and Harvey's trying to get a handle because he knows something's happening and something's breaking, and there are people that were cheering.
have somebody look at the Fox. Trump just posted that Charlie Kirk is dead.
All right, so is this ready to pull the trigger when you get Trump cut in a second?
What did Trump say?
Yeah, who sent it?
So
what I think, honestly, okay, but here, honestly, I'm going to say this. I think that those were two different things that were happening. Now, they issued an apology, and honestly, I don't know, Harvey.
What do you think the other thing that was happening?
Listen to what they say. There's an explanation, and I believe this explanation. There's a lot of vile things that are going on out there, but I do think that, the explanation is feasible.
We were live streaming all day during this tragedy. When something happened in our office, as we were reporting the assassination of Charlie Kirk, there were some people in the back room away from our news desk here who were watching a car chase, and they were laughing, they were clapping, and you could hear it out here. And we want to make a couple of things clear. One is that I know these people, and they were not laughing. They were not reacting that way about Charlie Kirk's assassination. They were not. They would not work here if they did.
I believe him.
Yeah,
I really
got
do.
you.
I think sometimes there are other reasons, and you could tell it was in the background. So I'm going to have to take his word for it, and I do. And other people are going to make their own decision on that, but I do think it was a sincere apology, and the apology went, on from there. But then there's, stuff like this, which is just crazy right now.
I think we're missing the point here. Charlie Kirk, he wants to be pew pew. That's why he fights so hard for J laws to never change. This is his dream. This is poetic. I'm starting to think if he planned this because he loves pew pew so much. My thoughts go out to that pew pew having to look this mother face. My deepest condolences.
They're out there. They're gleeful out there.
The best part of this whole thing is that he is not martyr material, so his death will mean nothing. It will activate no one. It will impact few. It's just great.
Yeah, that's gauging things very inaccurately. Now, there's a pattern that exists here, and libs of TikTok and wokeness have gone very aggressively against the people that are posting stuff like this. You post something on the X or Facebook, you say something like that on Twitter, they're looking up where these people work. And there is an unbelievable number and very disproportionately focused on healthcare and education.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's people that are in healthcare and they're gleeful and they're not trying to, hide it. Here's a nurse.
My coworker was all in a tizzy because she gonna tell me that Charlie Kirk got shot, and I said, good. So we get into this whole conversation about it, and she goes, well, you can't hate people for their political views. And I'm like, yes, I can. Like, that's specifically why I hate people sometimes. You can't hate me for my views because my views don't infringe upon your rights. You don't hate me for what I believe in because it doesn't interfere with your life.
Yeah.
Some of these views are dangerous. And I'm glad he got shot. Hopefully he dies. I don't care.
Yeah, well, he did. You got that wish. I mean, some of the views that Charlie Kirk espoused are so controversial, like not allowing a man with a penis in a female locker room. That is outrageously controversial, isn't it? I can't believe that there would not be more agreement on that issue. They love to say pew pew. This was a little new to me, Sue, because I didn't realize that was so common when it comes to guns. Here's another one.
He was shot because we don't have food in our fridge. He was shot because our co-workers of color are being incarcerated and sent back to their country for no reason.
Oh my God.
He was shot because we don't have health care. We are so mad up to the point that we're actually starting to take pew pews and take them to politicians. And honestly, I do not agree with gun violence at all. I feel like there's other ways that we can have a discussion without having to bring out the pew pew. But we have tried. We've done peaceful protesting. We've wrote into the government. But no, these red-sided people don't care. So what do you think we're going to do? The red-colored people are like, he was such a good person. Why did he get shot? If you've seen the video on Twitter, please listen to the last 10 seconds of what he said before he went. And if you... Honestly, y'all, he had it coming. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, well, what he was doing is he was talking about mentally ill transgender people, of which there are many, and perhaps the person who shot him is one of those. I mean, it's vile what we've heard out here.
Do you support his death?
I do.
You support his death?
Charlie Kirk.
You support Charlie Kirk being killed?
Yes, I do.
On the day he died, you're here at a vigil for Charlie Kirk, and you support his death.
Do you support a Nazi?
No, I don't support a Nazi. Charlie Kirk wasn't a Nazi. You support his shooter?
Yep, sure do.
You support Charlie Kirk's shooter?
Sure do. He does all a favor.
Would you shoot somebody like Charlie Kirk?
I would have killed him myself.
You would have killed him yourself? Okay. Do you have a job here in Seattle?
Nope. I take that for a living.
Yeah, well, there's not a surprise. He doesn't have a job. Unbelievable. A lot of them are not shocked. I'm shocked because you would think that someone would sit back and say, maybe I shouldn't post this online. There are educators, there are nurses, there are other people in academia that have posted things. I'm just playing you the audio. They've been up on Facebook, but End Wokeness and Libs of TikTok, they are exposing these people. Many have already been fired, and I think many more to come.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads tonight, well, we've had some issues out there. There are emergency vehicles westbound 70 at the inner belt. Watch for the left lane to be closed there. And we've got, other than that, kind of the usual volume. 70 westbound, moderate volume, Jennings Station Road. And again, near the Cave Springs area. One more time out in Wentzville. And eastbound a little slow at Wentzville as well. Now, if you're westbound 40, it's Kings Highway out through McCausland. And then it's just pockets of moderate volume out through 70. Southbound 270, Slow pockets of moderate volume there, too. And that's Page down through Doherty Ferry. 44 is slowing at 270 and at 141. You know where we have extra volume is on southbound 55. And that's from Arsenal down through Bates in the construction zone. There's some volume eastbound 40 headed for the Poplar Street Bridge. But by the time you get to the bridge itself, things actually look good. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts.
You know, most of us know to save for retirement, but we don't actually know, unless we have help, how to make that money last through your entire retirement. We don't really have a handle on how the system works. And that is why I like financial and tax architects. Their idea is let's educate people. And then they'll see how we operate. We'll educate them about how the system works. And then they can decide, yes, I want to sit down with these people and have a written retirement financial plan put in place by them, having looked at everything we've got, going over everything and tailoring it to my goals, my values. And that way you could know for sure how you look for retirement. So go to a class. They call it Retirement Planning 101. You can go online at F as in Frank, FTA-RIA.com, FTA-RIA.com. Sign up, get educated, and get a handle on retirement.
It's summertime, and that heat can play havoc on your plants and trees in your yard. Mark Cox here from my friends at Hanson's Tree Service. Give them a call. They will send a certified arborist to your yard to set up a plant healthcare strategy. They can help you with trees that might have a bug problem or a disease. Plus, they can deliver mulch directly to your driveway in most cases. Just go online to hansonstree.com or call them at 636-379-1830.
Hey guys, Glover here from my friends Mark and Neil Gelman of eXp Realty. If you need to sell your home to buy a new one, it's never been more important to have an experienced negotiator that you can trust. You need my friends Mark and Neil Gelman on your side. 314-336-1991. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is, who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset? Few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardy contractor and Pella Window specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation, 314-569-1050. Now hiring qualified carpenters.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com or call us toll-free at 888-367-6512.
John Ziegler on deck, also former Mizzou and NFL player and very outspoken conservative TJ Moe at 5:30.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
A potential breakthrough in the search for the suspect. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News.
I hear they're making big progress, and we'll have to see what happens.
President Trump speaking to reporters a short time ago, one day after the death of Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk. He was asked how he thinks people should respond to the assassination.
He was an advocate of nonviolence. That's the way I'd like to see people respond.
Well, the president did blame what he calls the radical left for the shooting. The FBI has not released a motive for the shooting and is asking for the public's help in identifying the suspect, releasing still photos of what they describe as a person of interest with a $100,000 reward offer.
Police say the suspect appeared to be college-aged and blended in on campus here. And if you look at the photo of the person of interest, it appears that that person has a long, dark shirt, which lines up with eyewitness accounts, video, and even dispatch audio, which describe the suspect as wearing dark clothing.
Fox's Matt Finn. Investigators are examining a palm print, a shoe impression, and a high-powered rifle found in a wooded area near where the shooter ran off. The president now on his way to New York City to attend a Yankees game this evening. This morning, he spoke at a ceremony at the Pentagon, marking 24 years since the 9/11 attacks.
We will defend the nation they served, the values they upheld, and the freedom for which they died. We will support our troops, we will protect our families, and we will preserve the American way of life for every future generation.
In New York City, bells ringing to mark when each plane hit the Twin Towers. The names of the nearly 3,000 people killed were read aloud by survivors and their family members. A ceremony also held in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, where a fourth plane, which many think was headed for the Capitol, went down in a field. America is listening to Fox News.
You're great at protecting your data, but lots of places could still expose you to identity theft.
I thought it was safe.
If that happens, LifeLock gives you a US-based restoration agent who will stick by your side from start to finish. Phone calls, filing documentation, preparing insurance claims, your agent handles it all. In fact, we're so confident restoration is guaranteed or your money back. Isn't it nice to have someone like that on your side? Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at VaxAssist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
You knew our fantastic weather couldn't last summer, making another push. Plenty of sunshine on this Thursday afternoon, 92. Clear skies, 67 tonight. Friday, it is summertime. Sunny, hot, and humid Friday, 95 degrees. Saturday, sunny, hot, and humid, 96. Sunday, partly sunny, hot, and humid. Maybe an isolated afternoon storm Sunday at 95. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist, Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, I was during the break. I this is a mistake I make every once in a while. This is why I try to stay off of Facebook. But I use Facebook mainly to post pictures of perhaps my bunny, of my daughter, of my wife, of our puppy, of the other animals. So I do not do politics on Facebook and haven't done it for a long time. But then when I posted, because my daughter left my wife a really, really cool letter, I put it up on the X, formerly Twitter, as well. Then I start paging through Facebook, and I see, someone who I know who's friends with my wife saying, "I'm truly confused as to why so many are posting about Charlie Kirk. I don't hear this same outrage when it's innocent children gunned down at school. Ask yourself why." Are you kidding me? Of course you hear the outrage. You hear it constantly from people on the left, but it's all about gun control. I mean, what I don't even know what kind of world these people live in sometimes. But this is why I stay off of social media, because it's a dangerous place to be. I do love the X, formerly Twitter. There's a lot of stuff happening up on there. And look, I've said this before. There's vile stuff that's said from people on the right. I'm not a big fan of people who have been, exposed as being lunatics out there and really, really evil people reacting to this. And then people on the right chime in with stuff that's just as evil and nasty. So some of that is hypocritical, but there is vile stuff that's being shared out there. And like I said before, God, I hope that they find this guy and they lock him down, because there's going to be a lot of conspiracy theorists. There already are. I'm sure John Ziegler's here, the co-host of the podcast, The Death of Journalism. I'm sure that the conspiracy theorists are already at it. John, wouldn't you think, if they don't have someone specifically to name here?
Based upon my X feed, they're out in full force, as they are on every major story. It's very frustrating to deal with them. I'm an ardent anti-conspiracy person, and
as am I.
And but look, I am somebody who I even tweeted this last night, and it got quite a bit of traction. I think that there's a pretty strong argument to be made that whoever did this is not in the normal vein of lone nut job. That doesn't mean that they're, a hired gun from a foreign country. It just means they knew what they were doing. And I think the fact that it was only one shot and that the shot killed is almost unique in assassinations and not consistent at all with a lone nut. A lone educated or unexperienced nut instinctively fires multiple shots. That did not happen here. And they also tend to get caught before 24 hours is up, especially in this day and age where we have all this technology and all these resources. I'm rather stunned.
I am too.
That we don't even have an identity yet. We don't even have an identity yet. I mean, as far as I know, and the fact that he's not in custody is really disturbing. And of course, the first 48 hours are usually incredibly key. If you don't get him in 48 hours, you may be a while. So we're kind of running out of time here. But I can't stand the conspiracy theories, and I can't stand obviously every part of the story. This is horrendous from every possible aspect.
It's awful, and I made the mistake, as I did with the young woman on the train in Charlotte, of watching several angles of the video, and I'm kind of sorry that I did that. But what would you say, as a guy who hosts a podcast about the media, on how the media is handling this? Right? I mean, some of the things that were said on MSNBC were just disgusting. They sent Matthew Dowd packing pretty quickly. I thought that there was some responsibility. They seem, I was watching CNN last night because I couldn't help myself. I get home. Usually I tune things out when I get home and just do things with the family. But I wanted to see, first of all, I wanted to see if the shooter was going to be caught because there was some confusion about that. But Anderson Cooper genuinely seemed to be struggling with how to cover the story, with how to ask questions about a guy like Charlie Kirk. It was not his, comfort zone last night. So I think that most of them were trying to be responsible in the way that they covered it. MSNBC apparently didn't even care.
I think that's fair. I watch mostly, I go back and forth between CNN and Fox because I don't even consider MSNBC to be serious. And every time something like this happens, whether it's the Charlotte murder or this situation or many others, I keep thinking that especially, post-Trump election, that some of these left-wing outlets are going to at least pretend to get it, right? Because they understand that the world is at least temporarily changed, but that never seems to occur. And it certainly didn't on MSNBC. I will be somewhat defensive of CNN, where I wasn't overtly offended by anything that I saw, although I can certainly understand what you're talking about, because let's be clear, in the old guard of the media, right? 5-10 years ago, Charlie Kirk is someone who the mainstream news media would never have even given the credibility to even mention.
That's
right?
true.
These people didn't even exist until there was no way to ignore them in this current era of social medias and obviously podcasting and everything else that's changed the media world, where the legacy media power has diminished greatly and the power of a Charlie Kirk has increased dramatically. And so now they have no choice. I remember, as an example, and he wasn't murdered, but I'm sure you obviously remember my then good friend Andrew Breitbart. When he died, right? I found that to be bizarre, that all of a sudden he was the subject of lots of mainstream media coverage, which, by the way, he would have loved, that he never got in life.
Yeah, right.
Because it was only in death that it was okay to acknowledge how relevant he was. But I just found it bizarre. I was watching NBC Nightly News and Brian Williams at the time leading with the death of Andrew Breitbart. I'm like, your audience has no idea who Andrew is because you never told them who he was. I mean,
well, there might be some of that going on. Like I just, right before you hopped on the line, I was posting something, and I hardly do this, John, I was mentioning, because it's such a toxic place, but it's my wife's birthday today. And not unlike you, I have a daughter. My daughter left her a lovely gift and a note, and I put this up on Facebook. And then I happen to, scroll down, and I see someone who is a friend of my wife's, who I know, saying, I don't understand all the attention for, Charlie Kirk. They don't do it with the school shootings. I'm like, yeah, they do. Have you ever opened up Facebook after a school shooting? Everybody up there is virtue signaling and talking about guns. But I also wonder if there is that disconnect with a lot of people on the other side, because they weren't aware of the impact that he had. Look, I'll be honest, John, I was caught off guard a little bit in the reaction that some younger people, including my producer, Ethan, who got you on the phone line, had. He got very emotional yesterday. He had been following Charlie for, several years, since he was about 15. Ethan's turning 25 this week. So I think I even underestimated how popular he was with that, young conservative group. I've never had him on the air. I'm a fan. I've played a lot of his audio, but I mean, this did impact a lot of people in a very, very, significant way.
Let me tell you a story that might knock your socks off about how far Charlie Kirk's reach goes. So literally just before you called to put me on the air, I was on the phone with former NBC Today Show host Matt Lauer, who I've become very good friends with, bizarrely.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this, and he had seen the video of my daughter Grace responding to getting a autographed cap from a MAGA cap from Charlie Kirk.
I'm going to play that in a second. We're going to tell that story, but go ahead.
Okay,
Yes.
Okay. Well, so much to my surprise, Matt Lauer, a card-carrying member of the liberal media elite, told me, yeah, my two sons are really broken up about this.
Yeah.
They were huge Charlie Kirk fans. They're in college. Okay, so Matt Lauer's sons, now that's making an impact.
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
I even heard, look, on the flip side, John Roberts comes on Fox today, and he said he had like a 14-year-old son. He didn't even know. He was unaware that his son, had followed and was a fan. So that's kind of crazy. All right. So before I play, and look, I think this is very special, this audio and video that you posted. And, I've kind of seen your daughter grow up. I'm a girl dad as well. My daughter's 10. Your daughter, I think, is 13, Grace. I know that you have posted about her many times, and I've, been a fan from afar just because I'm such a girl dad as well. But set this story up so I can play the audio, because I think it's pretty cool. And the other side of the story is how you had to explain this to your daughter yesterday, that this guy that she's a fan of, was murdered. So
right.
What's the backstory?
Yeah. So the backstory is that my daughter's always been political. She's been a fan of Trump. In fact, when Trump was shot and survived last year, she did a remarkable piece of art of Trump in the aftermath, shaking his fist, and she called it "The Day We Won the Election." So, which, by the way, turned out to be true.
Yeah,
I think. But unbeknownst to me, through watching videos online, she had become a big fan of Charlie Kirk. And when we started talking about this, I spontaneously started to record. This is not the audio you're about to play. This is what sets it up.
Right.
Her talking about how she became a fan of Charlie Kirk. So I posted it online. I can't remember if I sent it to Charlie or Charlie saw it or whatever, but he shared it, and he responded to the video saying, that's, God bless her. I'm going to send her a signed hat. And of course, celebrities, Mark.
Right.
I didn't want to get my daughter's hopes up that this person that she was looking at as a hero was actually going to send her something personalized. But I felt pretty good about Charlie. I just had a good sense about Charlie that he would come through. So I told her about it. And sure enough, a week later, a package comes in the mail, and I decided to record that. And I think that's what you're about to play.
And this is only like a month ago. This is like on August 8th?
Yes.
Okay, so check this out.
Oh my gosh.
What'd you get?
Charlie Kirk. Oh my gosh. I'm going to be the most
He signed a hat.
I'm going to be the most popular girl in church.
Okay. Well, he
I'm going to wear
promised
this on Sunday.
He promised you a signed hat.
Oh my gosh.
Now,
The Bible.
Are you going to be able to read the book?
Yeah, totally.
You're going to learn how to read this to read this book?
In June
All right.
1964.
Well, he kept his promise.
Thank you so much. This is the best day of my life. This is Christmas, birthday, Easter, all in one.
Okay, the best day of your life?
Yeah. No, it's better than the day Trump won the election.
Okay. All right. Wow. All right. That's a lot to process.
Yeah. By the way, as a side note, Grace Ziegler probably a bigger fan of Trump than John Ziegler. Is that fair to say at this point?
Oh my gosh! I mean, trust it. I mean, if no one can ever accuse me of putting my beliefs on my children.
Yes.
I am not a fan of Trump. And look, I thought Charlie Kirk was great, but I had some concerns about him and problems with him. But I will forever, even before obviously with the tragic events of yesterday, I was always going to be very loyal to Charlie Kirk, because there's nothing that a parent can ask for more than for you to give your child joy, and Charlie Kirk did that. And so I mourn his death, and I will never forget him for that, and I will always be thankful. And it's just tragic what happened. And of course, I ended up calling my wife, who's a teacher at Grace's school, to alert her as to what was happening, and that it looked very, very grave. And when Grace got home, it was pretty much as bad as I expected. I mean, she was full bawling, totally in tears. We embraced, and it was a moment. But I have to say, she was pretty good after that. Pretty resilient. Just this morning, she got all dressed up in a red, white, and blue. By the way, she wore the MAGA hat that's signed by Charlie Kirk all last night. And then she didn't think she could get away with wearing the MAGA hat to school. So she wore her most patriotic outfit and then made a sign for her locker that said, "Stop the violence, love Charlie." And so I thought that she handled it pretty well.
You should be
Wow,
very, very
that's
proud
great.
of that little girl, John. And I know that you are. And I know that look, I think you were a little hesitant to come on and talk about this because you don't want to be the focus of this big story. But I thought that was very special. I really did. And I shared it. And I got such great reaction from people when I put it up yesterday and I played it. So I'm glad that you shared the story. And I hope that Grace is doing okay.
Well, I appreciate that, Mark. I really don't like it when people try to make huge stories, especially tragic ones, about themselves. And that's not the intention here. The intention here is to show people the impact that Charlie Kirk had on even 13-year-old little girls
And
in
I know
California.
that. And I know you. And that's why I wanted to have you on again tonight. So thanks, Zig. I appreciate it. Have a great
Thanks,
weekend.
Mark.
Okay. Take care. I thought that was really good. And the video, I did put that up on the X, formerly Twitter, at Mark Reardon KFTK. So check that out.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Let's see. Debris reported eastbound 70 approaching Mid-Rivers Mall Drive. Watch for that in the 2 left lanes. We had a stall northbound 270 on the ramp to Dorset, or at least near there. Watch for that on the right-hand side. They cleared an accident westbound 70 past Zumbel. And watch out for a stall westbound 44 approaching Hampton. Looks like it's on the right-hand side, mostly on the shoulder. Now, out of downtown, westbound 70, just pockets of moderate volume. Jennings Station Road out through the 64 split. We've got westbound 64. That's the same thing. It's slow pockets, but it's Kings Highway on out through the 70 split. Southbound 270 slowing. We had report of an accident. It looks like it was northbound near Olive and some slow-moving traffic there that goes back to about Manchester. Southbound 55, slowing at Bates, but we look great if you're headed into Illinois. No delays on the bridges downtown. Your garage door is the largest piece of moving equipment in your home, and when it needs help, call the experts. Overhead Door Company for same-day service, 314-781-5200 or overheaddoorstlewis.com. I'm Sue Thomas with Traffic, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
This report is sponsored by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Experience matters, and if you're considering a backyard project, I want you to call my friends at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Mark Cox here. You know, Chesterfield Fence and Deck has been around since 1968. They're locally owned and operated by the same ownership all those years, and it is the sign you have the very best. They have their own professionally trained installation crews, their own trucks and tools. They aren't subbing anything out. You're getting the work done by the great people at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. You're welcome to visit their showroom there in Chesterfield, or they'll be happy to come to you. They do free in-home estimates, no obligation. They do free project design. So whether you want a new deck or a new fence or maybe a new pergola out back or a new sunroom, Chesterfield Fence and Deck can take care of it. And for the month of September, mention Mark and get 48 months interest-free financing on your next outdoor project with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Go to chesterfieldfence.com.
Is your home, business, or church looking tired, chalky, or in need of curb appeal? Go Rhino. Tired of painting year after year? Go Rhino. Our unique 3M ceramic technology is perfect for brick, stucco, aluminum, steel, color lock masonite, and more. It's backed by our 25-year transferable warranty to not chip, crack, or peel. Great if you're staying, and even better if you're selling. Our ceramic coating allows you to maintain all of your architectural features. The decision to do vinyl will leave your home looking like a plastic moldy box. With Rhino Shield, in 15 years, your home will still have that, wow, it looks like you just got it painted. We've done large condo complexes, parking garages, pole barns, and commercial strip malls. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. Evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't hate, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Attention St. Louis Medicaid residents in need of care at home. If you need assistance with daily activities, you can receive in-home care from a loved one that lives with you and they get paid. Through Medicaid, Freedom Care allows you to choose who provides your care at home in St. Louis and they get paid weekly. Available to eligible Medicaid members in St. Louis. Call now to check your eligibility. It can be your daughter, son, a close relative, or trusted friend helping you with cooking, transportation, laundry, and other activities in your own home. You get the help you need, and your caregiver gets paid. Freedom Care has over 7,000 five-star Google reviews and is a leading choice in St. Louis for in-home care. If you have Medicaid and want to receive great care from a loved one, go to freedomcare.com or for faster service, call 314-597-1749. 314-597-1749. That's 314-597-1749.
Freedom Care, we're here for you.
Back to Mark Reardon, because someone's got to say it out loud. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Tomorrow, no shortage of things to talk about on the Reardon Roundtable, including the assassination and the aftermath of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. But I also have to, make mention of the fact, because I'll certainly have fun with this tomorrow, that Jane Duker's prom date, former Missouri House Speaker John Deal, was indicted and pled guilty to stealing a bunch of COVID relief money today. And that guy, he had a scandal when he left office, and then he decided to steal about $300,000, or actually I think it was closer to $400,000 in loans that were supposed to help struggling businesses during COVID.
Nice.
And he was caught red-handed, and they not only announced the indictment today, but he pleaded guilty, and then sentencing comes in December. The first question that a couple of people asked me, and it is a legitimate question, Sue, was John Deal ever on the roundtable? Because as you know,
That is a fair question.
we have 5 former members, actually one current, he'll be here tomorrow, 5 people who have been on the Reardon Roundtable in the last 15 years who have gone to federal prison.
Yeah.
And something I'm particularly proud of.
That's something
right?
to hold your
But
head high.
Jeff Smith was one of them a long time ago. He worked his way back into the fold. But no, I don't think John had ever been on the roundtable. I can't say that with 100% confidence, but I do not believe that he was. So an update here on what's going on in Utah. We started the afternoon. I guess when I'm coming in here today, I'm driving in, I'm monitoring Fox. They make an announcement that there's going to be some sort of event closer to 2 o'clock from Utah with officials briefing them on the latest. That quickly was changed. They delayed it. I felt like maybe it would selfishly work in our favor a little bit where we would air it here on the show. It's almost 5:30, and here's the latest, okay? This is Jennifer Jacobs at CBS News. She's usually a pretty good reporter, White House correspondent. News: federal law enforcement officials believe they have identified the name of a person of interest. 2 U.S. officials and a law enforcement source told a couple of reporters and Jennifer. So far, no arrest warrant has been issued in the Charlie Kirk case. Leads are being investigated, but no suspect is in custody at the moment. Trump told us outside the White House before leaving for the Yankees game, I hear they're making big progress, and we'll have to see what happens. So, there was a lot of confusion even when we left the air last night, because Sue, as you remember, there was a period where Kash Patel goes out there. And I think even when I left the air last night, it was one of those situations where I thought that they had, the guy in custody. Well, then not too long after that, when I get home, and this is not good for Kash Patel, by the way, the local guys had it right. We aired the news conference yesterday. my feeling is the local guys knew that they didn't have anyone that was the shooter.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden they're getting text messages saying, hey, the FBI director is saying you guys got the guy. So they kind of rolled with it a little bit, and they called it a person of interest because they had taken one person into custody.
And there was a video.
Right. And then there was somebody else that was taken into custody as a person of interest and released. Right. And then they even went on this morning begging people because, and this is what makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't know what those two people did to put them on the radar of local police and get them into the station for questioning. But what I do know is that even though they apparently had nothing to do with this, their lives are being ruined as well because social media goes after them. And that is something I'm not very, comfortable with. But Kash Patel does himself no, great service because after he goes out there and he wants to be the guy that says it first, the FBI director then has to say, the subject in custody has been released after an interrogation by law enforcement. Our investigation continues, and we will continue to release information in interest of transparency. Okay, well, let's do that, but let's make sure we get the right information,
Exactly.
right? Because we criticize the media all the time for jumping the gun, and I think in this particular case, the FBI director jumped the gun just a little bit. Have you heard about the South Park episode?
About this?
No, so
Oh.
No, this is interesting though. Okay. South Park has an episode in which they mock Charlie Kirk. I don't even know from how long ago it was, but I've seen a lot of people out there. They pulled it off, right?
Mhm.
I've seen a lot of folks out there say, no, don't do that. Put it back up. And you know why? Charlie would have wanted it back up. Here's what he said about the episode. Listen, I think there's some clips from it too.
Okay, everybody, the South Park episode just dropped, and honestly, it is hilarious. I mean, part of it is kind of like whatever, typical humor, but it was hilarious. Just watch this little snippet of our Prove Me Wrongs, our viral cultural domination on prime time on Comedy Central. So important, so impactful that South Park is highlighting. Watch it.
I'm sick of people stealing my stick. If anyone around here is going to be a master debater, it's me. So let's go. Who wants to debate the master debater? Let's go. You right there.
That's the stupidest haircut I've ever seen.
You are wrong. Leviticus 3:17 says it shall be a perpetual statute for your generations throughout all your dwellings. So you can shut up, baby. You just hate America and you love abortions.
All right. Cartman's not very happy there, but Charlie Kirk was.
And we got our own award show as part of South Park. I was told going in, Charlie, if they say your name, that's a big win. Well, apparently there's the Charlie Kirk Awards.
Hello and welcome to the 3rd annual Charlie Kirk Award for Young Master Debaters. More and more young people today are learning to fight for America through masturbation. We're here to honor the recent efforts of a brave young man who has been furiously masturbating for the past several days.
Now, there's going to be a lot said about this, but we need to have a good spirit about being made fun of. This is all a success. This is all a win. We as conservatives, we have thick skin, not thin skin. And you can make fun of us. It doesn't matter. And until next time, I hope all of you also become master debaters for truth.
Perfect. He handled that perfectly.
Yeah.
And I'm so particularly proud of that moment because one of the things I hate is when people on the right act like people on the left and they whine about stuff and they do stupid stuff. So the way that he handled that was amazing. And let me give you an example of something on the right that is just ridiculously stupid. And I get that emotions are running high and all that stuff, but there's a guy out there, Clay Higgins. I think he's from Louisiana. And he's a congressman, and he tweets this out today. He says, I'm going to use congressional authority and every influence with big tech platforms to mandate immediate bans for life for every post or commentator that has belittled the assassination of Charlie Kirk. If they ran their mouth with their smartass hatred, celebrating the heinous murder of that beautiful young man who decided his whole life to delivering respectful, conservative truth into the hearts of liberal enclave universities, armed with only a Bible and a microphone and a constitution. So I'm going to lean forward in this fight, demanding that big tech have zero tolerance for all violent political hate content and for the user to be banned from all platforms for forever. That was in caps. No, Clay. That's not what you do. As disgusting and as vile as some of the posts are, this is 100% not the answer. And you're acting like a Democrat. Do not do that.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
All right, on the roads this afternoon, we had debris reported. Now, this was eastbound 70 approaching Mid Rivers. in the left lanes. So just be careful through there. Now, westbound 70, a little slow at Jennings Station Road and out past on either side of 94 and in pockets out through the 70 split. 64 lines up near Kings Highway out past McCausland, and then it's slow pockets out through the 64 split. Southbound 270, moderate volume headed down toward Doherty Ferry. But northbound, we had an accident near Olive that created some slow-moving traffic through there. Southbound 55, that's slow, but just mainly at Bates. For a while, it was much worse, but it's better. 44 westbound slowing in front of the Arch grounds. And we look great headed for and crossing the Poplar Street Bridge. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
All right, let's talk about getting you a Generac generator and at least a free estimate on an awesome generator, not portable generators, something that you're going to have for a long time that you do have to do some maintenance on, and that's why you want to go to Generator Supercenter of St. Louis. They do great work here in St. Louis, across the country. This is a great company, and you can get a free estimate on a Generac home standby generator from Generator Supercenter. It's just a phone call away. They're the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. I remember the name Generac from being in Milwaukee because they were located up there, and I was talking about Generac generators 20 years ago plus. But these are outstanding, high-quality generators. When you hire someone like Generator Supercenter, they get it over to, they install it. They also do the maintenance and the warranty work on it. A lot of the competitors will not let you do that, and they don't offer the certified service. You're going to get that with Generator Supercenter. Call them for a free estimate. Payments are available. 314-499-2020. Generator Supercenter of St. Louis.com. That's Generator Supercenter of St. Louis.com.
Setting goals for your retirement is one thing, but knowing how to achieve those goals is another.
What are your wishes, hopes, and dreams? What's retirement look like for you? Because everybody, that picture is different.
For tips on building a better nest egg, listen to the All Financial Hour with Steve All, Saturday mornings at 6, here on 97.1 FM Talk.
You can also visit yourmoneymattersstl.com for more details.
That baby's gone!
Cardinals fans, FanDuel Sports Network is your home of the Cardinals.
That ball was mashed.
And there are more ways to watch this season.
Holy cow!
Subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network to stream the Cardinals without blackouts.
How about that play?
Or watch through a TV provider.
Incredible!
Including DirecTV, Spectrum, Xfinity, Fubo, and more.
He got it!
Learn more at cardinals.com/TV.
Ball game! That couldn't have worked out any better for the Cardinals.
It's motorcycle season in St. Louis. Time to ride. When the road gets rough and you're injured in an accident, you need someone who's got your back. You need Kaufman Townsley. We're local, we know St. Louis, and we don't settle unless it's what's best for you. When it's not, we go to trial, and we bring decades of experience with us. Kaufman Townsley, real people, real results. Call 314-500-5000. That's 314-500-5000.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
Real talk, today's issues. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Some of the reactions to Charlie Kirk's death are really fascinating. Even some people who are, persona non grata in the current conservative world. Meghan McCain, for example, tweeted out, "My entire life for 20 years is completely ensconced by my community of friends and colleagues who work in conservative politics or in media in one form or the other. Every single one of us is despondent and truly furious. I'm telling you, this is a paradigm shifting moment." That's a lot of people don't like Meghan McCain. My friend Selena Zito, who is someone that was there 3 feet away from Donald J. Trump when the assassination in Butler took place. She wrote a book called Butler. And she responded because another guest on the show, and someone I know, Bethany Mandel, said this. And I can relate to this a little bit. She says, "I realize that a lot of my normie friends don't know this, how much of my social circle is people who also do this weird thing. People ask me, 'You knew Charlie?' We all came up at the same time. My entire circle of friends is reeling." Now, I did not know him personally. I did not have a connection, but Selena did, in her response to what Bethany said here just a few minutes ago on the X, formerly Twitter, was broken. She said, "I didn't cry during or after Butler, likely because I had to work. Now I can't stop. Also because there was a survivor from Butler, right?
Right.
Close call. But, there are so many people who knew him and were friends with him. I know that Senator Schmidt was extremely broken up. He did do some national media today. He told me he's going to hold off on local media until next week, and we'll get him on. TJ Moe is with us tonight. Former Mizzou standout NFL player, contributes to Fearless with Jason Whitlock on Blaze TV. He's a fearless conservative himself. Did you know Charlie? I'm not even sure. How are you, TJ, this afternoon?
I'm doing well. I did not personally know Charlie. I was loosely connected because Whitlock knew him pretty well. And so he came on our show a few times. Whitlock went out and spoke at AmFest. There was a couple times I could have gone out there with him. Did not ever end up going, so did not meet Charlie. But I will tell you that has not stopped me from shedding a lot of tears the last 2 days. And I cannot explain it, Mark. I've never experienced anything like this. I'm a pretty stoic guy. It's pretty hard to move me to tears, and I've never even met this guy. And so in my view, this is a spiritual sadness, and I'm feeling it. I've had dozens of friends. I bet you I've had 40 people reach out to me, and I'll be like, again, I've never met the guy. It's not like, hey, we know you're best friends with Charlie. It's just like, they're all saying, are you as sad as I am? I can't stop crying. I was on with Whitlock today, and it's like, I couldn't really get through the segment because I couldn't talk. There's something unique about it that I can't explain. It has to be spiritual.
Yeah. And, I see that reaction. I give a lot of credit to Laura Ingram, who was very close with Charlie, and Charlie was on her show. When I leave here at 6, I turn Laura on and see, maybe steal a guest or two sometimes as well. But he was on 2 nights ago, and I'm not sure how she got through her show last night, but she did in a very brave way, because a lot of these people were very close. I mentioned Senator Schmidt. My friend Scott Jennings knew Charlie well, joined the air with him on the Salem Radio Network. We air Scott's show now at night here on 97.1 FM Talk. So his reach was immense. The response, though, here we go again, TJ, with the media response. And I think you can put the MSNBC and the Matthew Dowd people in a different evil category. There has been, for the most part, responsible journalism done around this. I did find, and I said this earlier, that, I was watching Anderson Cooper last night. He seemed to be struggling in a way that I had not seen that before, where he didn't know how to cover it, because I think he was trying to be cautious to not say bad things that had gotten people into trouble earlier in the day, but they genuinely didn't know how to approach it because they don't have the connection that you have, or that I have, or that other conservatives have to this story.
Yeah, it's an interesting observation. I am not, Whitlock kind of brought up a similar question when we were talking, and I'm, for the headspace that I'm in, I'm the wrong guest to answer this, because I have avoided any coverage at all. All I've done for the last 2 days is watch different videos of Charlie trying to bring people to Jesus.
Yeah.
That's it. That was his whole, so I've got like Charlie, it's a weird feeling. I'm not that old. I'm 34. And so not nearly as old as you, Mark.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for pointing that out. Yeah.
But it's a weird feeling for somebody my age to look up to, both politically and spiritually, to somebody younger than you. He and I had the same birthday, October 14th, 3 years younger than me. He was 31. And I remember, and my brother and I run a real estate business together. And even within the last month, I was telling my brother about lessons that Charlie taught me. I never met the guy. He lived his life in such a way that you couldn't help but write something down and say, yeah, of course, why wouldn't we all want to do that? And he did it over and over and over again. So it's been really hard for me. I don't think I could stomach these crazy people saying he deserved it, or
you couldn't, believe me. Yeah.
I see Crowder's reporting that, it was a trans. I'm like, hey man, all that's irrelevant. This was the strongest soldier in God's army, the guy that I believe. So my spiritual belief is that we are in the middle of a revival, and we have been for probably 5-6 years. We couldn't see it the whole time, but we're in the middle of a revival. And over the last 2 to 3 years, I became convinced that Charlie Kirk was leading the revival as a 20-something-year-old back then. And today, I am now convinced that he is the revival, that he's an actual martyr that is going to lead to a revival in America. So honestly, that's all I can focus on. All this Anderson Cooper and all these guys, I mean, God bless them. I hope they all get saved. I think most of those people are atheists and Christians. I just can't focus on it. There's so much good to consume on the Charlie side. I can't stop watching it.
Well, you're doing the right thing, because, you know, I'm dumb enough to not only have watched the video of Irina Zaritska on that train, which was horrifying, and then several angles of this shooting, which equally, if not more, horrifying. So I think you're focusing on you're focusing on the right thing. And, you know, for me, it's a little different, because I don't, and I'm not in any way, shape, or form criticizing or denigrating. I don't have the spiritual connection that you do. I'm not as much a religious person. You know, I certainly believe in a higher power. So for me, he's a guy, and I never had him as a guest, which is a little surprising, but I love to feature his audio. You know, I do this segment, it's coming up here, called Audio Cut of the Day. I loved the exchanges, you know, because there's a guy, you probably are familiar with Chris Elston. He goes by Billboard Chris on X, and he travels the planet literally talking about the gender affirming care, child abuse that's gone out there, and trying to stop that. And he has civil conversations. And, you know, I think that's what evolved with Charlie Kirk. And he had these conversations. I don't know if he changed any of these young trans people's minds, but he certainly engaged in a way that was respectful. I think he left an impression on them. And that's where he impressed me, just as a young conservative. And what I said a couple of times, and I don't even know if this is relatable, but when I grew up in the 80s as someone who voted for Ronald Reagan, because, yeah, I am old, you know, the first time that anyone came along that started saying things that I really believed in was Rush Limbaugh. So, but I was, 30 by the time I started listening to Rush Limbaugh, and that eventually led me into, I was in music radio, to doing this. But it caught me off guard how many people are affected by this in your age group. Ethan, who put you on the phone line here, is 31. He lost it yesterday, and I felt so bad for him. He was very emotional, because he has some of the same connection that you have with the spirituality. So I know this is affecting a lot of people. And when I mentioned, Meghan McCain said, "I'm telling you, this is a paradigm shifting moment." A lot of people have said that, and I think that I just don't know how it's going to manifest itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Look, this is the actual. This is going to sound weird and stupid, but everybody, they think hard enough and long enough, will understand what I'm saying. This is the spiritual and actual something of substance version of George Floyd. Everybody felt this weird sort of shift when George Floyd happened, and it was like, oh, there's something different, and like the world was on fire, and obviously there was no substance, and it was all a lie, and it was a disaster. But America did change, certainly for the worse, for a number of years. Now I think everything's backed off. I think this is the substance version of that. I think this is a guy that actually lived an exemplary life, that did everything that you hope someone would do, that lived out the American dream, did not go to college, instead built a several $100 million empire on his own, and spoke. He was the guy who, this is something I can't get over, and that it's part of why I'm so sad. Forever, we've heard the stupid phrase, hey, if you're conservative and you're young, you have no heart. If you're liberal and you're old, you have no brain, right?
Right.
Charlie didn't buy that. Charlie was like, nah, I don't think so. I think I'll go into Lions Den and I'll win. And he did. He delivered the biggest, and this is just politics. But again, I'm coming at it from a spiritual side, which, by the way, Mark, you're welcome to come to church with me anytime. I would love that.
I appreciate that.
The spiritual side is actually what he cared about. So he won political votes, but in his mind, that was just a reflection that he was changing hearts and minds and nations. That's all he cared about. And so you're talking about a guy who, and again, I just keep going back to, like, I've shed a lot of tears over this, because you're talking about a guy that's 6'5", and there's a lot of science behind the fact that people follow tall people. That, like, leaders are tall.
Mm-hmm.
There's something there. He's 6'5". He had an attractive wife. He had 2 kids. He lived out exactly what he said. He didn't have this crazy life where he went out and he's like, yeah, it was my former life. Those were my fun years. He never had that. The guy got saved when he was in 5th grade and has been a Bible-believing Christian trying to do everything right. And here's the big difference, and it's something that I don't embody myself, and I truly admire, and I cannot think of another conservative that demonstrates this. When he would go into the Lions Den with whoever, because he debated people at Oxford, he'd go to any college campus, he'd go on and talk to Gavin Newsom on his podcast. It did not matter.
Yeah.
There was not an ounce of malice in his heart when he was making his arguments. All he was trying to do is have an exchange of ideas and hope that you could see both grace and truth. This is John 8. He was trying to he was trying to exemplify what Jesus did all the time. And he would explain this explicitly, because there's a lot of conservatives that I get frustrated with as a Christian who like Matt Walsh, who I like in a lot of ways, but there's some malice in Matt's heart. Just like there's malice in my heart.
Yeah.
And Matt does not like to lead with the Christian point of view. He says, people will just write you off. You lead with a secular point of view, and that way you can win the arguments. And I'm like, I'm sitting over here as a Christian saying, who cares if you win the argument if you lose their soul? And Charlie was trying to win their souls, knowing that their minds would change after that. And so Charlie would go to work, and he would sit there and talk about John 8, where Jesus came in and they were going to stone the woman who had adultery. And he said, he who is without sin cast the first stone. That was the grace that he showed. And then he'd come right behind him, and Charlie would say, do not forget this part. It is just as important. Go and sin no more. And he always told the truth. Charlie was one of the ultimate defenders of truth without an ounce of malice in his heart. And that's what made him different.
TJ Mo, you have no idea how happy I am that I invited you to be a guest. That was so well stated, and you did a great job. And I appreciate everything you just said. And, I kind of wanted to make you cry because it sounded like you've been doing that a lot. I'm kidding, obviously, but that was so good, dude. And I love you for coming on here and for making those points, because I think they're very, very important. And, it's been a tough couple of days for a lot of different people, but I think what you just said there connected with a very large portion of the audience. So I appreciate it.
Anytime, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Take care. I wanted to talk football so badly with him, but just not the moment right now. We got audio cut of the day coming up.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
He just put that so well. The no
excellent.
malice
Yeah.
in your heart. That's the key. All right. On the roads this afternoon, westbound 70, just a little slow at Jennings Station Road. We've got some volume westbound 370, and that's just past 141. Be careful through there. But we're thinning out nicely. Even westbound 64, just slow. A little bit at Hampton, eastbound at Big Bend. Southbound 270, just a little bit slow at Doherty Ferry, but northbound still unwinding, headed for Olive. That's all due to an earlier accident. 70 and 64 out west are a little slow, headed for and right at their merge. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Listen to the Annie Fry Show all this week, and you'll have a chance to win free tickets to see the Beach Boys September 21st. Tune in every day to the Annie Fry Show at about 2:30 for us to tell you when to call. The Beach Boys in St. Louis in just a couple of weeks, September 21st.
We had Mike Gower over for lunch yesterday from Michael's Bass. It was awesome. Got to meet him in person. Melody, his daughter, is the one when you call Michael's Bass, and we're going to give you some incentive to do that right now. If you need a shower and bath redone, if it's outdated, wasting space, maybe it's even unsafe as, mom and dad get a little older, maybe you need a handle or some bars in there or some seats, they can help you. And Michael's Bass is only always 30 to 50% less than the competition. And right now, via the Mark Reardon Show, they're offering you a free shower door or $500 off your project. This is all they do is Bass. These are all American-made products. I know they're very proud of that. So whether you want a walk-in shower, better storage, a modern look, you'll get Mark or Tony come over and do the estimate. They are scheduling out a couple of months because there's a lot of demand, but they do great work. And again, the price is usually 30 to 50% less than competitors. So call Michael's at 636-775-0800 or visit michaelsbass.com. That's michaelsbass.com today.
Celebrate September with Zero Res and get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Book online at ZeroResSTL.com. Take advantage of these huge savings. Spell it forward or backwards, it spells the same. Zero Res.
Are you nearing retirement and don't know if you have enough money saved to retire? That is scary. Do you have a written retirement financial plan in place? Well, when it comes to retirement planning, the trusted team at Financial and Tax Architects are the best. They've helped people all over St. Louis retire with confidence. And that's what you want. You want to retire with confidence. Now, they offer a one-night, 2.5-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. They hold these at colleges over the St. Louis area and in Illinois. No cost, no obligation, just learning. And at this class, you learn how to avoid costly mistakes, how to maximize your income, how to reduce taxes in retirement. So call them today, 314-888-5101, or visit fta-ria.com and take the first step toward a smarter retirement. 314-888-5101.
Mark Cox here. Let me introduce you to my friends at the Lit Cigar Lounge in St. Louis, where luxury meets comfort. Premium hand-rolled cigars, an extensive selection of rare bourbons and whiskeys and craft cocktails. It's comfortable for non-smokers, too. They have a state-of-the-art ventilation system. They have private lockers and live music every Friday night, perfect for date nights or business meetings or just winding down. Visit litstl.com.
Annie Fry here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They are the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
Protect your liver and give it the support it deserves by making Active Liver from New Nordic part of your daily wellness routine. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or at newnordicusa.com.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
All right, well, we're going to wrap up all of the news of the weekend. And I've said this before, Sue, whenever we have big stories like this, it's almost hard to believe that, we were talking about Irina Zaritska a lot on Monday and Tuesday for obvious reasons because of that awful stabbing. I can't remember what I asked you. Did you watch that video?
I saw. I got to the point where he puts his arm back, right? And that's when
that's just horrific, and I hope that story doesn't go away because it needs attention as well. But we're going to talk about all of this on the Reardon Roundtable tomorrow. Jane will be here. Her prom date, true story. John Deal, former House Speaker. I always like to tease Jane about this. He's going to the big house because he pleaded guilty today to stealing about $400,000 in COVID relief money. And John Deal, who had left the legislature a long time ago under some, circumstances that weren't that great, involving an intern, had a law firm, decided to swipe a bunch of taxpayer money. These are interesting cases, the white collar crime. I don't know what, typically it's like a 2-year sentence.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
Man, 2 years for $400,000. He might think that's worth it, right?
I don't know.
I have no idea. But one of the topics we'll talk about on the roundtable tomorrow.
Stand by. Playback ready. Now, the audio cut of the day.
I will say, as part of these deals that they sign, and I don't know all the specifics, there's an agreement to pay back the money also. Let me tell you something. The money never gets paid back. So there's an agreement. Right, exactly. There's always an agreement to pay back the money. There's never paying back the money. President Trump is in New York. Brian Kilmeade told me earlier this afternoon he's going to be live on Fox in the morning. Now, these things sometimes change, but here's what he said earlier today at the Pentagon.
Before we begin, let me express the horror and grief so many Americans at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk have felt. Charlie was a giant of his generation, a champion of liberty, and an inspiration to millions and millions of people. Our prayers are with his wonderful wife, Eric, and his beautiful children. Fantastic people they are. We miss him greatly, yet I have no doubt that Charlie's voice and the courage he put into the hearts of countless people, especially young people, will live on. I'm pleased to announce that I will soon be awarding Charlie Kirk posthumously the Presidential Medal of Freedom. The date of the ceremony will be announced, and I can only guarantee you one thing, that we will have a very big crowd. Very, very big.
So that was the president earlier today. He sounded a little bit under the weather.
Yeah.
Ethan, you think that he was very emotional when he came out and said that?
You saw him walking up on the stage,
Yeah.
and I mean, his look said everything.
Yeah,
his look said everything.
I mean, it going to affect him a lot different than the rest of us who never took a bullet to, near our brain
Very much so.
like he did. But again, we'll cover all of this on the roundtable tomorrow. And then in the 4:00 hour, all the fun stuff, we'll have Paul Hall on entertainment, also Frank Cusimano. I think we're still trying to put together some of the 5:00 hour, but it will be fantastic. Do we have anyone? I can't remember. Brad Young.
Brad Young
Brad's
will be
going to
on.
reflect on some of the stuff. So all that tomorrow. I'm going to watch a little football. A little tough here for me tonight as a Packers fan because I have Jaden as my fantasy quarterback. You know that, Ethan. Mixed feelings. Go Pack, go.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, all right, we've got some volume. It's thinning out really quickly, westbound 6440, especially at Hampton. But we have a stall reported westbound 44 approaching Hampton. Watch for that one in the right lane and on the right shoulder. There was a stall too, northbound 270 just before Dorset, also on the right side. And out west, 70 and 6440 westbound, a little slow at their merge. And other than that, we're in pretty good shape. We look great if you're headed into Illinois on any of the bridges downtown. This report brought to you by Barron Mirror Glass and Door. Simply the finest when it comes to mirror glass and shower doors. You can't find better quality, prices, or service than at Barron Mirror Glass and Door. They have the basics all the way up to the elite. Barron Mirror Glass and Door can't be beat. I'm Sue Thomas. That's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
He's Donald Trump's #1 enemy in Congress, Chicago Senator Dick Durbin. And now Dick Durbin has a new scheme, a government